4 solos going head-to-head for the last place in finals. We thought it was going to be Rogue Kane. He was on a rampage there. Well, I think it was 7 eliminations, and we thought, I'm sure a lot of teams are watching with very kind of, I guess, very excited eyes there. Maybe a place would open up with them qualifying and someone else can snip into the top 6. But didn't happen. Jeff and Play coming through a day 2 qualifying team. Our first one so far, getting the Victory Royale. Sundown, they've done it. They're going through the finals.
Yeah, and this finish was very interesting because, as you noted, we were keeping an eye on that bottom left-hand corner, and you kept seeing, as the casters called, that number creep up. They're already into the top 5. So at that point, even though they were only a solo running through, Joji was able to pick up a ton of additional points, which took them away from everyone else. And that made it so whoever won this game of solos at the end got a ticket to the finals. And the Vivid Joji just played extra spoiler here.
Yeah, I mean, Joji did do it all right there, and I love this, right?
Oh, I wonder who won this.
We're seeing so many more solo v solos in these endgames, right? We hardly saw any of that in day number 1.
I hope somebody good call. I hope
right? But that just means that this competition, as these lobbies start to dwindle down and the more players get added, the competition is actually getting tighter because these duos can no longer survive as 2. They're getting pressured way too hard by the competition in the rest of the lobby, and we're getting only solos left, which means that we are in for a show on day 3, and I can't wait for it. But props to that team there picking up that victory rap from their low ground. Well played.
Yeah, well played indeed. I mean, let's take one more look here at what happened in the end game there of game number 5, because it was so epic in so many ways here. I mean, Sundown, 4 solo players, we haven't seen much of it at all, and suddenly it's all there on a plate for us in the last game of the day for NAE, and it's been, I mean, we couldn't have asked for much more.
And I love the play by Fusion Jeff Plays here because he went down, and notice how he went down. He still had 18 builds. He didn't have to commit to the lower layer, but he took a peek and realized that nobody else had gone, recognizing they didn't have the materials. So if you have mats and you go early, what are they going to do? They just jump down on top of him. He's able to pick up not only the eliminations, but the Victory Royale, which was his only way through to the finals.
Oh man, absolutely phenomenal way to clutch it out, right? Like we talked about it last game, game number 4, a player in the 49th position on the leaderboard comes up and clutches up, and then again, we see Jeff here not in contention for that top 6, but it doesn't matter. That Victory Royale is on the line. He clutches up. He does it for Plague, his duo there, and they got to be so excited. We'll see those boys in the finals.
He will indeed. Right, there you have it, guys. This is the top 5 teams that have qualified via the Victory Royale. You can see Nounsy and Sprite in game 1. All that time ago in game 1. Game 2, Pledge and Teo. Then Rise and Aegis in game 3. Princess Wolf and AMT in game 4. And then we have Jeff and Play going through in game 5. GG to all the 5 teams getting the Victory Royale today. But we're all biting at the bit to find out exactly which teams are going through the top 6 positions. And there we have it, Sundown. Nosh and Goober remain on top. But things have shuffled in the pack. And there's our top 6.
You can see there, C9 Nosh, 33, Goofy Goober, followed by Beef and Nick, the French Canadians, Matrix 20, and then Reciprocal. Right after that, then you have Fusion Joji, 33, Brocane, Knifer and Matrix Bila, and then in the final spot, Qua and 33, Magnolia Vivid.
I love to see 20 and Reciprocal up there, man. They fought so hard throughout day 1 and day 2 up there at that split drop in the northwestern region of the map. We always saw the action going down between them and who was contesting them, and they were just winning out so many times, but they can never really find themselves a consistent way up there. Today they have done it, so that is awesome. A contested team finding their way through, and Slacks and Clarity hugging on to that 9th place position down there, unfortunately not making it, but that's kind of a good position to be when you think about it, right? We're going into day number 3 tomorrow. If you are 9th tomorrow amongst these teams, you kind of like bump yourself up to like 3rd tomorrow, right? Because those top 6 teams are no longer in it tomorrow.
That's true. And even though some of these teams like Clarity and Slacks didn't make it through, I mean, big shout out there for entertaining the fans at home. The truck play was out of this world. I mean, we were all like living in the moment on that. What was that? It was brilliant. That's what it was. Thank you, Vivid, with the class. I love that. Let's look at our predictions from earlier on today and see exactly how we fared and how we got on. Has Vivid continued his winning ways? He has. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous, Vivid. Slacks and Clarity, my duo there, didn't quite make it, but Vivid, yours did. I mean, game 3, it was just a, it was a whitewash. It was a superb cakewalk for these guys. Went all the way and qualified in game 3.
Yeah, I love the fact that they did it through a victory royale as well. I talked about how I thought that they were going to do it through a victory royale because I figured they were going to be contested all day, but Sprite and Nounsy with an early qualification through that victory royale, so they actually had greasy grip to themselves, and still they ended up getting off spawn. They did get contested a little bit in game 2, but they found themselves some solid ground in game 3 and just rode it to a victory royale.
Yeah, and then looking over at Monster D-Face and SPG, they also predicted correct trios. No, we're not going to look at that one. We go to the next one. It's fine. We'll talk about it maybe tomorrow. We'll have that story then. But hey, congrats, Monster D-Face, SPG. Good job on the qual on the 33 Magnolia pick, as well as the FS Joji and 33 Rocane. I mean, it seems like we batted okay here on NAE, so we'll just ignore my prediction and my broken clock going through there, and we'll keep it moving.
TikTok.
Man, we behind the scenes here, guys, are just like saying to Sundown, they're going to do it eventually. They're going to do it. We're all rooting for it.
Eventually.
I think it's four different times now. Pamela, in fact, it's not. But hopefully, maybe it'll happen tomorrow, Sunday, on our day 3 of our semi-finals. Thank you guys so much for watching NAE. Of course, you have FNCS NA West coming your way very shortly with Kelly and Co, bringing you all the action from that region. Big thanks to Monster and SPG on the casting. It was unbelievable. As always, loving it, Sundown. Loving it, Vivid. You guys have been great. Thank you for the company. Thank you guys at home for the company as well. We are back tomorrow with our last 12 teams hoping to qualify for finals. It is all to play for. Do not miss it. Don't be silly. Be back here tomorrow for more NAE. But enjoy NA West coming away shortly. Until then, we'll see ya. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
Beep, beep.
That was all the tournaments? You serious? I ain't gonna catch the whole 20s? Oh my god, that's crazy, man. Wait, I gotta see. I lied, I think West getting played today too. I didn't know it was East, now it's West. Oh yeah, West with a start, Yeah, West with a start, West semifinals with a start. Woo! I know Epic will be one. Epic will. Reaping Wall. A lot of good players can qualify. Start pull out, but that's crazy, man. Oh, my head. drop. Wait, she's the one creating that shit. That's crazy. Alright, let's get a candle. That shit's solid. Dunk shit. Dunk shit. Dunk shit. Dunk shit. Dunk shit. Wait. That's actually crazy. I just really want to watch West. Really, really. Alright, go. Yeah, fan. Oh, I can't wait till the West start, bro. I don't know where this is. Oh, you mean like the black thing? You mean them Red Bulls? I was the Bulls. Lord, give me the Bulls to put up there, but I was not. Or the thing get moved, right? My uncle? Oh, they going. Yeah. I mean, it's up to y'all. I don't really know. Oh yeah, tell him that. Tell him. Oh yeah. You know she came in here yesterday to tell me to put it on for. Yeah, she came in here to tell me to put it on. It's the only anime I actually like watching besides. I gotta start watching. A lot of people tell me to start watching Demon Slayer, but I never started. I stopped watching Dragon Ball Z. Yep. Oh, that's good start. Yes, sir. We are getting cool. Hello? Yo.
So he just shows up back in his cell. What the hell is going on here? We'll just have to report it, that's all. There's nothing else we can do. Let them try to figure it out. What do you want with me? You said you should come this way. I'm sorry if you think I'm reaching out to serve. This is just fine. I can pay you back for what you did in my dojo last week. Scratch that. Looks like it's already begun. Thank you again. Deal with it. Oh, I see.
Yo, what happened? I don't know. That's for you to figure. Alright, it start. 10 minutes, yes sir.
I did not expect that.
I got 5 out of 5 last time we did this.
Don't think I'm gonna do very well.
Where is that? Alright, so my guess for the spot's gonna be Sleepy Sound.
I think that's by Log Jam.
Wait, somebody is on me.
Sanctuary, I don't know. Yeah, it's the fields at Sanctuary.
Well, that's Nate.
I'm trying to remember where the cornfields are. I guess.
Wait, why Nate on me?
I don't know the name of
like,
it, but it's a landmark near the Bugle, to the west of the Bugle, I believe.
What'd you say?
Oh yeah. That's, I
Say it.
remember.
What? Okay, boy.
Alright, so this spot's gonna be the Log Jam.
That is Log Jam.
That would be at Log Jam. I think that's Log Jam Lumberyard.
Lumberyard, I think that's what it's called.
And this one's familiar to me. This is Log Jam.
If I was in the world, why you calling me?
Oh, perfect.
This one I have no idea.
I think this is the clock tower in Tilted Towers.
The clock tower at Tilted.
I would say Tilted. Oh, that's Tilted Towers. That's the clock tower at Tilted.
I think that this is the Tilted Towers clock tower building.
Oh geez, this could really be anywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Camp Cuddle.
That nigga just say, I wouldn't believe he just say Camp Cuddle, but he dumb way.
Oh wow, I did not expect that.
How you gonna accept me anyway? I know exactly what it is too.
I peeked through that window before.
I know
think
exactly
this
what it
location
is.
Sleepy Sound.
That's the top of Bugle. The Daily Bugle.
I think that one's at Pony. Maybe. Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, I don't know. Condo Canyon?
I think this is Greasy Grove. I just see like a lot of plants, and I feel like I might recognize that building.
This
Not
is
as
the
much
roof
as
of Bugle, of the main building at Bugle.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. I sure don't.
Oh, it's Coney. No way. Oh, I knew it.
Bugle has like a similar roof over there.
Not even close.
I think that's Condo Canyon.
Actually, I'll go with Camp Cuddle. That looks like yeah, Camp Cuddle.
Maybe Condo Canyon? I don't know. I know it's in the desert somewhere. I think that's Condo Canyon.
I'm trying to think of the racetrack name, but I completely forgot about it. So I'm gonna go with Condo Canyon.
Sandy Shores has a lot of beach, so I'm gonna go with Sandy Shores.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's Camp Cuddle? When? Oh, that was Camp Cuddle. No way.
Nice, nice.
Camp Cuddle? Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed on a million years.
Oh, Camp Cuddle.
The leaderboard.
How did you become a pro, and what advice would you give to those trying to become a pro player themselves?
Hopping into a Scrim Discord and being able to see your improvement and going against some of the best, it will help you improve.
The two most important things you gotta remember are just confidence and experience.
You have to see what you're doing wrong and be honest to yourself about it. Don't work on everything. Like, don't be a jack of all trades, basically. Just work on what your strength is.
Yeah, having a good practice routine, making sure that it's effective. You are improving, improving your placements.
The best advice I can give you is to learn from the already established pro players. So if you watch their videos, you can learn a lot.
I'm absolutely cracked and creative, but I can't seem to replicate it in real games. I know some of the part has to do with my nerves, but any recommendations on how to get over this hump? Hop in creative and then make sure that you do also play an arena before tournaments so you can get the even balance of the two.
A lot of times when I'm playing creative, I'll switch my server to East, which puts me on like 60 to 80 ping. That way when I go into game and I'm on my normal like 25 ping, it'll feel a lot better.
Experience is probably your #1 factor in not getting nervous. Honestly, same. Like a lot of creative stuff I use, I don't use like 90% of them in game.
I think you probably need to slow down. I'm assuming like a lot of creative players are really fast. They have really fast mechanics, but in real games, I don't think you need that. I think you just need to know when to bring in those skills.
The best way to get rid of these nerves is just get a lot of practice.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? It's Life with Panda here, back again with another player joining us. Defiable, hanging out, returning to the lobby. What's going on, Defiable?
Nothing much. How are you doing?
Doing good. Looking forward to the season, man. Now, obviously, 2022 is here, and we have a brand new competitive game mode in duos. What is your personal favorite game mode in Fortnite?
My personal favorite is duos, followed behind by solos. Obviously, this season's duos and their solo cash cups.
What is your favorite part about this current meta?
I'd say the Spider-Man. I like how the mechanics work. I like how they function, and I land at the Daily Bugle where the Spider-Man is most common there. I really like the meta right now.
So tell us a little bit about you. What does your day-to-day look like, and including Fortnite into that schedule?
Obviously, I have school for like 7 hours, so I get home at around 3:30ish. Do my homework until 5 or until I'm done with it. And then I hop on. If there's any tourneys, I play them. If there's not, then I usually just play creative or play scrims. And then on weekends, it's tourney days, so I just warm up for the tourneys, and that's basically it.
How did you get into Fortnite?
My friends in Season 3, all the hype started building up at my school, and then they were like, hey, you should download Fortnite. And I've been playing ever since.
What are some expectations for you and Fortnite in 2022?
I hope to place top 5 in FNCS in one of them, Especially this one, because I mean I have really high expectations for myself. I want to place in a lot of the cash cups, and I just want to get my name out there, basically.
How do you stay motivated when playing Fortnite?
When I'm not motivated, I usually just take a day or two off, or if I'm like if I'm not playing really good, and I'm like playing, or if I'm playing really bad, then I'll take like a 1 or 2 day break, so I can just fully reset my mentality and everything.
So you mentioned that you like to take some time to rest to avoid that burnout when playing a game too much. What are some things that you do when you are away from Fortnite?
I like to play football, and then I also like to play other games, or I just like sitting in a call with my friends and just talking to them.
Thank you so much, Defiable, for hanging out with us and answering some questions. Tell the people at home where they can find you.
Twitter.com/Defiable1_. You can find me on YouTube, just search up Defiable, and those are like the main 2 I use.
Defiable. What happened to you? What happened to you? You keep sucking your teeth. I said, what happened to you? You keep sucking your teeth. Well, make it do what it's supposed to do then. Nigga, what the f? Wait, I ain't gonna let this pissing me off. You always cursing them. How you have the audacity to say that? How you have the audacity to say that? That's all you do? It's a liar. It's a liar. Shut up. That don't even make sense. Cost yourself, don't blame nothing on me. I mean, nothing is my fault. Ah, you go ball. I said you go ball. Ah, that's up to you if you won't be ball. What happened to you? Oh, West for the start in a couple of minutes. I mean, seconds. I said minutes. Oh my god. I like how every number have a split in it.
Last time in FNCS North America West. If you thought day 1 was an intense Fortnite brawl, wait till you see day 2's competition. Duos such as Jaritos and Kytrix, as well as Tavern and Cause, will be joining us for Session 2 today. 2 years ago, Falcon and Riverside played their way to an 8th place finish in the Chapter 2 Season 2 Duo FNCS. This makes them the only complete duo in NA West to have the chance to return for their second Duo FNCS Finals. Day 2 also hosts a staggering 61 potential NA West FNCS Finals debutantes. Will the experiencer Falcon and Riverside help them advance, or will we see some new faces in the finals next weekend? Find out in the NA West semifinals Day 2, starting now.
Somebody underrated.
It is time once again to watch the best of NA West duke it out for their chance at the finals. I'm going to be your host for today. Hello, Kelly Lincoln. We've already had one intense day of semifinals where 11 teams move forward to join the 16 that made it through the qualifiers. But of course, we have to find 11 more today, everyone. And as always, I can't do this by myself. I have to bring on two gentlemen with me here, and it's going to be Panda and Clay. They're going to breaking down the analytical part of the Fortnite show. Panda, I mean, yesterday was such an incredible day of Fortnite, but for me, it was all about the story of Snacky and Favs.
Absolutely. Look, every game I was like, I knew they had the potential, right, to walk away with a VR, finally accomplishing that in game number 5. But now today, it's a bit different, right? It's not about Snacky Favs. They've made it, right? Today is all about, for me at least, Falcon and Riverside. But we'll talk about that. We'll dive into that shortly. But I'm excited, man. This is the first time I get to hang out with Clay here on the broadcast. Clay, man, how you feeling?
Oh, I am feeling amazing as well. Yesterday got me so hyped. These games coming out of NA West and yesterday, as well as NA East in Europe today, have just been nonstop action. And that's due to the amazing format that we have this time around. It's providing such great storylines all throughout that it's just nonstop.
It's not just due to the format, it's due to the watching experience. And what better experience is there than Legends Landing? You guys can find this in the Buy Epic Discovery tab there. And I mean, Clay, just talk to me about your favorite parts of this experience.
Oh, I love being able to box fight while listening to competitive Fortnite. You're quite literally getting better on multiple different ways, both through experiencing it yourself in first hand, as well as listening it through and being able to keep up with all of the action happening all around the world.
See, that's my favorite part that you can see right there. The list of champions that won through Chapter 2, all of the names that have claimed their spot to be the Fortnite champions. And that's what we're here for right now. We need to figure out which duo is going to be the first team to win the Chapter 3 Season 1 FNCS Finals. But of course, we have to figure out which 50 teams even get to move forward to there. So let's take a quick look at our schedule in case you guys are just joining us for the first time and you're saying Day 2 semifinals. Wait, I wasn't even here for Day 1. Well, we already wrapped up our 2 qualifiers, which is how we found the teams that are competing today through series points. Day 1 already wrapped. 11 of those teams have moved forward to the finals. Now 11 new teams are going to be jumping in and doing the same dance that we saw yesterday. It's going to be 5 games. 6 of those teams are going to make it through placement points, and 5 teams through those 5 VRs are going to have their ticket stamped to the finals. And of course, finals is going to be next week, everyone, March 5th through 6th. You are not going to want to miss it. So make sure you put that in your calendar right now. But let's actually break down the format just a little bit more, Panda, so that our viewers can have a better understanding of how this works.
Absolutely. So we got to talk about it. Session 1 is over with, right? So now it's all about Session 2 and Session 3. 5 matches played today, 6 matches played tomorrow. Now, every VR today in these 5 matches will walk away with the final spot, as well as the 6 most consistent teams. So it's going to be super important not only to focus on that VR, but focus on being consistent, playing it almost like you would play a finals in a lot of ways, so that you can try to climb the leaderboard similarly to what they did in the qualifier. So that's going to be super important going into today. But we got to break down the points, right, Clay?
Indeed, these points this time around you'll see fluctuate so much, and you have a really big range there. Obviously, Victor Rouse has 1,000 points. That's just to get them up to the top of the overall leaderboard. But 28 points for second place, that is great because a lot of changes can come through there, as well as 3 points per elimination. So you can get a 60-point game and still not get first place. Again, like Panda said, we're focused on the Victor Royales as well as the top 6. So pulling that off would be great.
And I do want to add on to this as well that there are some teams that we saw yesterday, most notably Favs and Snacky, that had a pretty poor performance for the first 4 games. And it wasn't until that 5th game that they were able to grab that VR. But speaking of teams, here we have it, Panda. The 11 teams on top that are going to be joining us today.
Absolutely. And again, notable names: Falcon or Riverson, Cool, Kabu. Some big names here from the West Coast, only making it into Day 2. Again, showing how this different format has definitely shaken up the way the leaderboards typically look. So I'm super excited to see how these players are going to be able to do, but I'm also excited about players like Frappi and Nate. Again, they had the opportunity to kind of prepare there with day one. It didn't necessarily go in their way, or in their favor, I should say. However, day 2 is here and day 3 as well. So many other great players here still trying to step up to the plate, deciding, hey, what did I do wrong yesterday? What didn't work out in my favor? And how am I going to fix that here in day 2?
Indeed. I'm looking at a Tiny Cow and Fruit on this page here. I want to see them. They had such a heartbreaking moment with that tiebreaker in one of the qualifiers there. So unfortunately falling a little short. But again, even if they don't make it today, they have tomorrow as well. And they have one more game tomorrow on top of that. So a lot of opportunities for players still to qualify through, but you really want to get through today so you don't have to worry about the pressure tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, tomorrow's the last day. Tomorrow's the last opportunity, and it's going to be a little different where I think we actually have 6 games instead of 5, so just a little more opportunity for our teams. But speaking of teams, that's one of the best parts of the FNCS is that we actually get to talk with a lot of the players that a lot of the viewers look up to, and we're going to do that right now, where we asked what our players thought of the Fortnite effect. Let's see.
I started playing Fortnite in the very first season of Chapter 1.
I heard it from my school friends, and I've never played a Battle Royale before.
I started playing in the first season, Chapter 1, Season 1.
I think I remember watching Ninja the first day Fortnite came out, and I was like, wow, this game looks pretty cool, and I've just been in love ever since.
At first, it was a bit I thought it was really, really hard just because of that whole new building mechanic. Everyone else was used to it compared to me.
I loved the building mechanic. I remember the first day I played, nobody really was building at all, and I was using, I believe, just walls, and it was so easy playing back then because I was the only person placing walls.
No, it was just different from any other game you'd play, like building, editing, all that stuff was just completely new.
The building mechanic is by far one of the best things I've ever seen in a video game.
I loved how they constantly are changing the game up, so you sort of have to relearn the game.
The thing that drives me the most when it comes to Fortnite has to be seeing improvement when it comes to my social numbers and also my performances in game.
I think it was just the drive to get better than my friends. I always want to get better than them, so I'd always keep playing and playing and playing.
I just like the competitiveness. I'm a very competitive person.
The drive to want to be the best and want to place at the top.
What I would tell someone that was coming into Fortnite for the first time ever, I would say that the meta is always changing, so you can always be ahead of your opponents as long as you put the time into learning those new things.
It has a large range of really cool guns and just so many utility items that are really unique.
You can't really max out your skill level. It's fun and addicting every day you play.
So if I get them on the first time, they'll probably get hooked to it.
I've made so many memories on this game that I'd probably never forget.
Well, one thing about the game that I definitely messed up on not doing was putting my socials in my username.
If I understood how zones worked at the beginning, it would have been way easier to rotate and stuff.
I just wish I knew how to aim better when I first started.
Maybe how important connections are. Just getting yourself out there and meeting lots of people is really important in the competitive scene.
I love that they bring that up because that's something that us casters and analysts and hosts from all regions talk about all the time, is how these players not only don't have their socials as a part of their name, but will change their name so often that we don't even know who is competing anymore. I think MIDI is kind of probably the most guilty of that in NA West, but we have to focus on some of the teams that we're really excited to watch. So of course, one of those teams is going to be one of the new 11 teams joining us today, and that's Falconer and River Sun. I mean, Panda, this team is just synonymous with NA West.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited about this team, right? They're going to be landing Greasy Grove, so kind of taking over where Snacky and Fabs were dropping yesterday. However, it looks like this is going to be a very different story than we saw yesterday. Snacky and Fabs had this POI to themselves. However, Riverson and Falconer are most likely going to have to fight for the right to stay here on the map. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Because again, like I said, it's a very different story than yesterday.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stories, and I'm sure Frappe and Nate are probably looking for a new story as well. Clay, tell me a little bit about this team right here.
Yeah, they've been playing almost as long as Falcon and Riverson as well. Frappe, you're going to see landing just to the west there of Logjam at the Spillix gas station. Really great scavenger route here. Have that opportunity. They like to claim these Spider-Man web gauntlets that can spawn over here, and that's really where they're going to get their mobility. And there's a lot of extra loot around, and I believe they may be contested by one team kind of encroaching a little bit on their territory. But what I'm looking forward to see from them is them making it to the end game in confident style.
And we definitely saw that yesterday from them. We saw, I think, a second and fourth place finish out of Frappe and Nate, so it's definitely possible to see them get into the end game. And getting to the end game is valuable with those placement points, but of course, a lot of it is about that VR. If you get second place, that might be nice, but it doesn't mean that you have assuredly gotten that ticket into the finals. But for the final duo that we're going to be looking at their drop spot, Creep and Dom. Panda, I actually don't know too much about this team right here, so I'm really excited to see how they do today.
Absolutely. It's always great to see some names that they're kind of there in the scene, right? They've been around for a bit, but here they are landing near the Butter Barn, of course, one of these special spots here on the map. It's kind of the western area here in the desert. One of the special spots, again, going to be utilizing those Spider-Man web shooters. That's going to be super important to their game plan going into today, because again, we talked about it yesterday, we'll talk about it again today. Those web shooters are valuable. Despite them only having 10 uses, there's still so much you can do with them in the end game.
And that's exactly what we saw from Vino yesterday, being able to do a 1v2 in-game successful fight there because of those web shooters. So I'm definitely certain we're going to be seeing that towards our end games later today. But something that we need to focus on for the early games is the off-spawn fights. Time and time again, we'll see these teams that have a contested drop spot. One team will win, and then the following team will follow up with a VR themselves after that. So although it might seem a bit unfortunate to have an off-spawn fight, it actually may work out in your favor towards the end. So the first one we're going to be looking at, Tilted Towers. Everyone is so happy that it's back, and they're so happy, in fact, that they're all seem to be landing there right now. In fact, I think we have 3 teams landing here, Clay.
Indeed, and it's definitely designed that it could be split. You got J Rose's E22, Combat, and Zays. And I believe we've got Physics and their duo partner landing on the other side. You can split Tilted if you drop correctly, and you don't really have to worry about fighting, but we know these players here in NA West are going to try to go for that 50-50 right there in the big middle castle-like building. They always like to go, I mean, that's the story back in the day. Everyone would land there, try to get that first weapon, and try to spray people out of the air. But we'll have to see how it plays out today, because 3 teams landing there is a little bit more risky.
Well, there's another POI where there's potentially 3 teams that are going to be landing there. And we've already talked about the web shooters. We've talked about the popular POI. So, of course, chat, you know, the Daily Bugle is what we're going to be focusing on next. And Panda, there's reasons why there's so many teams focusing this POI.
Absolutely. So some points obviously are going to be the similar structures to Tilted Towers. Also, on top of that, you're guaranteed those Spider-Man web shooters we've been talking about here. And then on top of that is the hills, right? This different elevation point that you can take here. If you get a nice MK7, something with a bit of range there, and then you take the zip lines up, you can kind of control all of the fights from top down to low. So it really boils down to how you play that POI, but Daily Bugle definitely has its perks when you land there.
And I feel like we've actually focused on Tilted Towers and Daily Bugle a lot, but Clay, real quick, is there another POI you think that's kind of being ignored a little bit between either us or the pros?
I mean, not by the pros, because Arkham and Epic Whale are landing there, but Coney Crossroads. I think it's such a great POI. It's right in the middle of the map. You get access to a lot of different rotations out of it. The loot that you can get there, if you can hold it down by yourself, is just really, really good. And it's one of my favorite spots.
I mean, it's obviously one of the most pivotal factors of success for a lot of our players, but so is their knowledge. So, of course, once again, we decided to pick their brains in our video called Storm Chasers. Let's see what they have to say.
I would position myself right below towards Rocky Reels. There's like a butter barn area. Yes, I would set up right there.
Okay. I feel pretty good about this one. It's gonna be to the left of Chunkers, but like where the road goes into like a fork. Yeah, like right there. I feel that.
That one's pulling tilted, I would say. A little bit below tilted. Yeah, that's good.
That's looking pretty good.
Nice, nice.
Go.
That's good. Perfect.
That was pretty close. I'll take that.
All right. So based off of this circle, I would probably try to position myself or where I think zone's going to be going towards the bottom right of Shifty Shafts, sort of like the mountain over there. Yes, right there.
I feel like this is gonna be a weird one, and I'm gonna have to go with somewhere in Coney Crossroads. Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be it.
I think that zone will pull to the daily bugle and like the top right of the circle. Yeah, that's probably fine.
Okay. Oh, I'm barely in. Was close.
Oh man, I'm a little nervous seeing Frappe get 0 out of 5 there, especially we're going to talk about our predictions in just a moment. But, you know, let's shift focus just a little bit there. Panda, there's a lot of incredible teams, and I think a lot of us obviously are going to look to the teams that were just on the cusp of qualifying. So before we make it into our predictions, I want to talk a little bit about those teams that we saw have a decent performance, but it just missed the mark a little bit, such as Clutch and Smuck, who got 12th place there, Combat and Zaze, who we actually looked at their drop spot a little bit, in Mojo and Salco. So for a lot of those teams that we're watching that were just on the edge yesterday, what do you think they're going to be doing change-wise for today's games?
Well, I think the first thing, and that's going to be super important for anybody that was just outside of that range, it's going to be to focus a little bit more on being consistent, a little bit less on the VR. Maybe that worked out for them yesterday. However, if you're doing that well that you're just outside of that range, it only makes sense to try to focus that here going into day 2. Worst comes to worst, right? It doesn't work for you in day 2, then go back to going and focusing on VRs in day 3. However, being consistent is way underlooked here in this format, I personally think. So I think that's the way they're going to have to play this if they want to make it through day 2.
And Clay, obviously, there are going to be kind of some new drop spots opened up. Obviously, 11 new teams are going to be jumping in, but 11 teams that were able to qualify yesterday have kind of exposed to the newer teams and maybe even the ones that competed that, hey, look, these spots are good. They work out. Do you think that we're going to be seeing some teams kind of shift where they drop?
I think we'll see a couple for the people that didn't end up fighting off of the drop every single game yesterday. I think we'll see them change up just a little bit. But for a team like Notch and Hav, where they made it to what is almost the end game right before those moving zones, I want to see how they play in particular, because they don't have to change up their drop. They just have to change up their rotations and how they play. Because again, they were able to make it to that fifth half in, half out zone. But every single time that we watched them, they didn't have a lot of mass. They didn't have enough heals. They didn't have enough storm surge damage. So in contrast to changing up their drop, they should stick with it, but find some more storm surge early.
And I love what you brought up there, Mats, because obviously a lot of this is about the end game. You could have a great elimination run and it's still just not going to equate to a successful end game there. But what I see frequently, Panda, in the end game is these players that will steal height relatively early on and then they run out of mats and there's nowhere to go. So when is it the right moment to kind of claim height to be able to like have an advantage towards the end game?
Absolutely. So we saw, I would say, probably the biggest mistakes these teams made yesterday was going for height too early. We saw with Snacky and Favs then getting taken out by Hove, and then when it finally worked out in their favor in the 5th game, it was because they took it extremely late. So I think it really boils down to timing, but also you have to look at what's going on around you, because if you feel that it is genuinely free in like zone 7, maybe even the early parts of zone 8, then take it. However, it should be those final moments that you're really focusing on that and kind of making sure that you're getting those refreshes along the way, because people don't realize in trios, it's easier to have math. You have 3 people with material. In duos, it's only 2.
I mean, yeah, in trios, you would honestly see one of the players kind of be a mule, where they would just carry a lot of pots and materials for the other players. But everyone, I know that you're so excited to jump into game, but before we can do that, we have to look at our predictions, who we think is going to be walking out on top. And I think it's a little safe when you say, oh, well, out of the 11 teams that are going to qualify, this is one of the choices. No, what I'm saying right now is Frappe and Nate are going to walk away with a victory royale. They got a 4th place finish. They got a 2nd place finish. They're also one of the most experienced players that are competing today. So for me, it's quite obvious, but it looks like we actually have some partnering up going on here, Panda.
It really does. And I will kind of add to this for Kelly's team. I would definitely pick them if Falconer and Riverson weren't here. That would be my second choice in Frappe Nate. But Falconer and Riverson, they are here. Some of the most decorated players on NA West here to step up, not quite making it through in qualifiers, which was a little surprising for me at least. And then them not even being present in day 1 was a little surprising. So I'm hoping they can kind of turn around that energy, push that forward there. But that's kind of why I picked them. But Clay, why did you pick Falconer and Riverson?
I mean, they are the only returning duo from back in the day that is still together. So, I mean, chemistry is unmatched when it comes to competitive Fortnite. You just have that beautiful calm and synergy, and that's why I picked them. But, I mean, look at Jacob and Takata. They have that synergy as well, taking Turtle Tavern and Cause. So they also have a chance. Turtle Tavern is definitely a very volatile player. He can play really, really well. He can sometimes fall a little short. But when he plays well, when he's on his game, it's very hard to stop him. So I'm excited to see how the pairing with Cause works out today.
I think it's interesting that all 4 of you picked teams that were joining us today. So again, not only did they not automatically qualify through qualifiers 1 and 2, but they also weren't able to get enough series points to make it into day 1 where 50 teams were. So, and I'm not trying to talk down to either of these players or either of these teams because they're incredible, but wouldn't you think, and part of the reason why I chose my team is that they might have a bit of momentum going into it. So Panda, real quick, what do you think momentum from yesterday is going to be like? Is it going to be kind of emotionally turmoil where they're feeling down they didn't qualify? Or are they going to have that extra practice and be a bit more dominant today?
I think it's a mix of both. I think the extra practice is going to be huge for them because they have that day 1 experience, but we cannot stop to think that day 2 members like Falconer Riverson are just going to be worse off, right? These are veteran players that know how to get into lobby situations exactly like this, high pressure situations, and they make it through. That's what it boils down to, being able to hold on throughout all this pressure and come out on top with either a VR or staying consistent.
It is going to be a lot of different factors that go into success for today's game, everyone. We have 5 games to go. Those 5 games are going to have 5 victors, and those people are going to move automatically to the finals. And then, of course, at the end of the day, the top 6 teams through just placement points and eliminations are also going to make it. But guys, that's not it. We also have 11 new teams joining us tomorrow where we're going to actually have 6 games. So again, if your favorite team doesn't go through, do not fret. They're going to have another opportunity. But for right now, everyone, let's hop into game number 1 and let's join our 2 casters. It's Jacob and Takata.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Great breakdown from the desk. But Jacob, as a reminder here, we're in day 2 of the semifinals. Day 1, 11 duos qualified, 5 from the Victory Royales and 6 from the consistency on the leaderboard. So now in day 2, we also have 11 new duos. The drop spots are changing. The rotations are changing. We have a lot of action to unfold today.
Can you believe this is game number 1? Now I'm already getting the chills because if yesterday was anything, a little bit of a teaser of what we're about to see today, we're going to see all out action through 5 straight games. I think you hit the nail on the head. 11 newcomers. Today starts their journey and they don't have to wait long. The battle bus is ready. Game number 1 is on our hands.
Game 1 of 5, Jacob. Our duos are getting ready. The engine for the battle bus is starting. These players have been waiting for this moment. They've been prepping for this moment, getting their rotations down, getting their paths down, knowing their strategy to take home that victory royale. And we're just getting it started here in one of the most popular POIs, Tilted Towers.
Yep. I thought it was going to be triple con, but already you see with those freed up POIs around the map, some teams may have made some last-second adjustments. Will that work? Will that not work? We're going to have a lot of time to find out, but a team that was sitting on that bubble for so long. This team right here, Combat and Zays, unfortunately enough, they were in 8th place, Takata. 8th, all the way up until that 5th and final game. They went down early, and they barely missed out on that bubble by 10 points. 10. That's not a lot. And this is another one of those duos, Ghosty and Flameback, over here towards Daily Bugle, where there was a lot of contention that went down, and rightfully so. Panda hit the nail on the head how important this POI is.
But I mean, Jacob, you know, if you're that close to qualifying day 1 of the semis, that's going to motivate you to try harder, to do even better in day 2 and get that qualification to the finals. Here, we're seeing action in Daily Bugle, one of the most popular POIs. It has the Spider-Man web shooters every game, so you get that mobility, but it's also almost like Tilted Towers, where there's an incredible amount of loot in a short space, so it's easy to get looted up quickly.
Yeah, and it's easy to kind of lose track of each other inside of these buildings as Quaxy's trying to go in. They found the separation. We saw this yesterday, and we're seeing a repeat very, very early on in game number 1, where these teams, they just need 1 second, a millisecond of separation, and then that's where they're going to go and try to pick up those eliminations. And they went ahead and claim throw the rest of Daily Bugle, but it's not going to be for long. You see some teams already coming in and trying to peek at that action.
Oh, I mean, it's so important to finish these engagements quickly, Jacob. If you're able to secure those eliminations right off the start, you can go directly to your loot path, finish up looting, getting your materials, getting your rotate going. But if these early game engagements last a long time, it can have a very big negative impact on your late game, because you might get the zone late, you might need to get storm surge tags later if you weren't doing a lot of damage. But seeing that they got those eliminations quickly and a drop like the Daily Bugle, it's looking good for game 1.
Yeah, it's definitely looking good for them. They don't have to worry about that surge, something you talked about with how active a drop spot like that is. But for Frappi and Nate, they don't have that same situation. This is almost the polar opposite. They're not going to have that early engagement, so they're going to have time to mat up, get the resources they need. They look like they have a great loadout as well of different items that they can use in course to prolong their journey. But the biggest worry for me is the tags that they're going to need for that surge. They're going to have a great path, and there's going to be a lot of teams around them from Camp Cuddle if they want to rotate towards Sleepy Sound, so their options are theirs, but you talked about it, timing is of the essence.
But let's take a look here at Matt, who's looking to see if he can get a bit of damage or maybe a few eliminations, going for a 2v2 box fight here, trying to get a wall replace on the ceiling, but be careful. That quick edit from his opponent, getting a bit of damage down onto him. Currently, they have a good amount of materials. They have 3 minis and 1 big pot spare, so they have what they need to come out on top in this engagement. But if they take too much time, there might be a third party coming in.
Yep, you already see it in the minimap. Multiple opportunities there. Mavs and Knobs, you seen them yesterday. Clutch and Shades, they do so good in the earlier rounds. They are able to kind of assert their dominance. Their struggles kind of come in these set lobbies. So today is kind of a refresher for them. A second chance at life. Another opportunity to advance to the grand finals. But they have to make it past this battle right here against Knobs and Matt. And it's being prolonged. And I like the way Clutch and Shades, they're staying together on the low ground. One of the battles we saw early on, just a second of separation really costed these two teams. So it's interesting enough how neither team wants to go all in, so they are taking their time.
I mean, there's 2 ways you can take this engagement, Jacob. You can go all in and try and get those eliminations, or you can just play it for tags. You do a bit of damage here, you get a nice shot with that striker pump shotgun, and then you can leave it. That's enough damage for Storm Surge. You keep rotating, because if you spend a lot of time here without making a decision or making up your mind, I mean, you're going to arrive late to zone, you're not going to have a lot of materials, so they've got to either play this for tags and get out, or go in if they really need those eliminations.
Now, finally, Nav and Matt slowly but surely going down towards that layer. They're trying to take piece by piece. That control of the cover is going to be important, and Nav is doing a good job. They're pressuring Shades and Clucks. They're pushing them down piece by piece, dwindling down their shields as well. And they're just doing it all with just calm, cool, collected. Just like you said, they're not rushing in. They're not putting all their game on the line here quickly in game number 1. Knobs is just taking piece by piece, like I said, and continues to do so. And I like the way he's staying agile. He's staying moving, not to give any free shots over to his opponents, but this is where it's going to get sticky as Shades and Clux, they're running out of ground. They're running out of space here. Sooner or later, they're going to be converged on.
Well, the last thing you want to happen here in duos is to get full piece, to get boxed up and leave your duo alone. But be careful as Nab going in, gets a big shot off with the striker pump, but it's not enough to knock down his opponent. Matt at the same time, though, getting cracked 30 HP to work with. Now 11 HP, manages to get out of the box, but his duo has gone down. Actually, no, his duo was able to secure an elimination. Now it's a 2v1. They have the advantage, Jacob.
Yeah, I know these guys are duos, but they played that one like they're reading each other's mind. Perfect bait and switch. You kind of called it yourself. You thought it was Matt, but Matt took all that damage. Nav went in there to pick up that elimination, and now they have that numbers advantage to their side, so they can go ahead and get a little bit more aggressive than they were before, knowing there's only one player in Clux who almost looks like he has no builds left to his name. He's going to go down. Nabs and Matt will continue what they started yesterday.
Ooh, quickly switching over to another engagement here on the snowy part of the map. We have Slick playing for a TNA and also Day for Fusion Esports. They're looking pretty healthy right now. They have a good amount of shields and also 3 peppers for mobility, but they've got a duo on top of them and they're looking like they want to get into a bit of action. But we have a replay from Day. Managed to get a nice on his opponent there, knock him down and secure that elimination. That's 3 extra points for them.
Yep. Exactly when you want to start the game, and it's a little bit quicker than we've seen some of our game number 1s to start. I will say there's still that probability of the surge, but people have seen yesterday, and it was very, very aggressive, especially towards the ending portions of the day to where it's win or you're in if you're not toward that bubble for top 6. But today, they know how different this is. For those 11 duos that might not have experienced yesterday, they might be caught a little off guard, so this might be a little bit of a hiccup game for them, but it won't take long. A lot of these guys are experienced players, so they know exactly how this one will go, as Yuki and Monkey over from Tilted. It didn't kind of traverse far out of the zone because they got granted that zone in the first one, but they have to now worry about the Storm Surge. If there's no duos rotating around, luckily there's going to be one around them.
I mean, that's what these players are accustomed to doing now. When you're in the semifinals, you're going against the best of the best in your region, and these players know they need to get damage done. They have to do Storm Surge. So even though you have all the loot you need, all the materials you need that damage. Putting yourself in a position that has high elevation, just like Frappi and Nate are in right now, where you have a good vision of the whole map, is a great way to get tags, Jacob.
Yeah, you can see slow side is still down low towards Greasy Grove. About 4 teams total, kind of below that Greasy Grove line. Everybody else, the north portion, depending on this circle goes, there's going to be a lot of rotations being forced out. But for now, Frappi and Nate just looking pretty towards that high ground. They have a ton of rotation. Jump pad as well. Great heals to their name. Just trying to build up that Storm Surge that we were talking about, landing in the northwestern portion of the map. Not too many contested players, not too many players at all rotating around. So that's what they're going to look for. Knock and Hove, a great team from yesterday, looking to continue their run, going up against Nico and Siderazor, a team that I thought was going to qualify yesterday. Both of them looking for that second chance, but somebody's not going to get it in game number 1, as Hove does find a way to get an elimination. It was actually Knock that got that one elimination. It looks like somebody might have taken the second one away from this duo, but hopefully they got the damage that they needed for Surge.
They got the damage. They do have that one elimination. I believe Nico got eliminated from a third party there, but I mean, at least Hove and Notch are going to get the loot. They got the materials, and now they have a lot of options. Taking a look, though, at Slick again, who's trying to get a rotate into zone. You can see that they're on the edge of zone, looking at the bottom right map. So this engagement is a dangerous one, Jacob. If this lasts a long time and that zone starts closing, which it will be in the next minute and 15 seconds, they're going to have a very difficult rotate.
Yeah. Kiowa and Trey were having trouble yesterday. Not in terms of loot. They were getting a good amount of loot. They were getting a good amount of resources, great heals, because they land that top portion, kind of a split drop, not named POI, but they were struggling in terms of getting that surge. So today, a lot of these teams have that experience yesterday, are realizing we have to do a better job of trying to get that damage or figure out a plan, get the damage and get on out instead of trying to all in. But right now, it doesn't look like either one of these teams got the surge that they wanted. They're just trying to hold each other outside of the zone, which isn't going to be too concerning because you already see in their mini-map, they're not too far off, so they're not going to have to worry about too much, especially with Trey getting in that truck. He's just trying to rotate out. He says the longer we stay here, the more danger we're going to put ourselves in, regardless of the surge situation.
I mean, both duos here do have mobility. You have Trey and Keo who have the vehicle, but also Slick and Day that have Peppers. However, Peppers is an item that you don't want to use to rotate here in the second zone. That's more something when you're already in the moving zones. Maybe you want to make a play for high ground, so it'd be best to keep them as much as you can. But if you do end up having to use them in the mid game, I mean, it can come to it.
I like this duo on screen. After done casting yesterday, I went to watch a lot of streams. I love NA West Fortnite. There's a lot of great personalities out there. And Aguilar, just talking to him a little bit, he said, hey, we know exactly what we need to do. We know exactly how we need to switch up and what went wrong. They think the biggest things that went wrong for them is their communication off those off-drum fights. And you could kind of see it. We jumped on board a little bit. I do believe they were going to get Show and Poppy Blast. I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong out there. Anybody feel free. I'm kind of learning along with everyone out there. But the thing is, today, you already see they got those 2 eliminations. So their drops are already better. Communication is on point. So I expect to see them in endgame and have a better time this time around.
I mean, the more practice you get, the better you get with that communication. I mean, there's some veteran duos that we've seen compete. For example, Landjock and Punisher, which qualified yesterday in the first day of semis. I mean, these teams have had a lot of time to practice their comms, but be careful here as Chicken and his duo are put into a rough situation. The loot is looking amazing, but now Chicken is left alone as a solo. He has to choose if he's going to defend his duo here or he's going to try and make an escape and play it out as a solo.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to get a chance to play it as a solo here. Sitting in the middle. Look at everybody in the minimap possibly trying to make Chicken a target. Forced to use the chili splashes. He has minis. He has chug splashes, but he doesn't have a moment to use them. He's just under siege, under fire. And Kinzo just taking that as a breath. And him and Caleb are the ones that are getting aggressive, trying to pick up both of those eliminations. I like how they're keeping Kins down so they can get the siphon a little bit later, as Chicken once again is just getting pressured and get finally eliminated off the map as Kinzo and Caleb take a share of first place.
I mean, it's so difficult to come out of a situation like that where your duo partner gets knocked down and you're left alone as a solo with multiple teams spraying you and other duo pushing you. But Chicken lasted a long time. He even was able to get off some splashes there. But taking a look here at Silks, who actually is going to get cracked, has no spare shields to work with either. So this is not looking good, especially seeing that they're 41 below Storm Surge and they have to do some damage.
Yep, another team, Shallow and Biz. We saw them towards the end game quite a bit yesterday. But both of these duos are below the Storm Surge threshold, so they're going to have to take this fight. And better before you have to use all your resources and heals, and they found some separation. 5Z, I do believe, might go down, or at least down to 1 HP with Storm's ticking in. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to last long without some help from his teammates, but it does look like they did just enough to get them both above the threshold, so they're going to back off. Try to get the heals, but Shallow and Biz, only if they knew how weak they had their opponents.
66 damage above the Storm Surge threshold. 4 players have to get eliminated for that Storm Surge to go away, so it's still gonna last for a while. But if you're looking at Zay's right on the bottom right now, full screen, he's 157 below, Jacob. This is not a position that I'd like to be in.
Yeah, starting off in Tilted Towers, currently in Tilted Towers. Not a lot of opportunity for Combat and Zades to pick up that surge damage early on in the game. And now they're forced to use their resources, try to out-heal it instead of trying to just simply go for the shots. 177. Actually, Combat's gone. He's out of the game. It's going to be all up to Zades by himself, finding every bit of resources, fruits, vegetables, medkits, shields, just everything he can as he's trying to just out-heal it with only a couple of players still left to go down. It's only a wonder of what other type of action is going on as he's running out of things to use, running out of ideas. Luckily, he still has the bandages, plenty of bananas, some cabbages. And this just goes to show you guys out there, Takata, make sure you guys eat your fruits and vegetables. You will live longer.
There you go. Good tips from Jacob. Good tips from Fortnite. I mean, Zaze is doing whatever he can, picking up scraps. Even talked to the Tomato Head NPC to see if he could drop him maybe another banana, some bandages, maybe even a med kit. But I mean, he's doing what he can to survive. There's one player left that has to be eliminated, and I'm afraid it might be Zaze, Jacob.
Oh, he's still trying, living on a prayer. Wonder if those they have to have been looted early on. He's trying to find anything living. Oh, he's gonna get. Oh, he found it. Unable to use it. The corn. Only if it would have got delivered so much sooner. But with one player going down, that's gonna ease up the pressure on everybody else in the lobby, Frappi and Nate included. And for them, they did just enough damage to not have to worry about it. And that's surprisingly so. They had to travel far to get to this point.
And what I'm liking about what we're seeing here with Frappi and Nate is they have Spider-Man's web shooters. They have launch pads. They have a vehicle they can use to rotate. They literally have everything they need to get from the zone they are now to the last moving circle if they play their cards right. Even the chili chug splashes. I mean, Frappi and Nate, they're looking strong in this game one.
Yep. Everybody else is kind of smushed towards the bottom of Tilted. I do believe I saw J Roses and E22 probably pulling zone. One of the only teams that look like they're sitting on the island, or at least towards it. Everybody is going to have to. And this is the Tilted Towers we expect to see. When you drop into a public Tilted Towers game, this is the type of combat that types to pop off. For Aguilar and Complot, they had a big journey from the bottom of the map. They reached the center, but it's not done just yet. Everybody here is going to have to find their way in, except for Creep and Dom. And this is one of our teams to watch. Not too much know about them, but I talked about it yesterday. If we don't know about you, this is just a perfect time to make us know about you.
Actually making use of the bush here, trying to see if Dom can find an angle to get some damage, maybe even get a knock if he can hit enough shots. But so far, you can also see at the bottom right, we have the teams in Tilted that have to make the rotate. There was so many duos, just like Jacob was saying. It looks like a arena match in Tilted Towers, so all of these players are gonna have to make their rotates, maybe even reuse some materials from other duos. But meanwhile, the players that are in zone, or the players that are using vehicles to rotate, they don't have to go through a city.
I don't think he has his license yet, but that's okay. He's still going to try and make it deep towards the zone. I say towards the zone because they're not even in just yet. They're just going to line themselves up on the center. But for them, and you know as well as I do, being as experienced as you are, it's step by step. You don't have to just go all the way in towards zone. You can inch yourself in because you don't want to become the focus of the lobby. But back over to Creep and Dom, still having that cover of the bush, which allows them to shoot out and rain fire from all angles, and they can easily build to protect themselves afterwards once they make their spot known.
If Creep plays this well and waits long enough, maybe a duo will come close to that bush and he can even box him up and look for an elimination. But I'm kind of liking what we're seeing. One player in the box, one player in the bush, has a good amount of angles. We can also see Hove there, a notch. We saw them in an engagement a bit earlier. Now with 2 eliminations, that's already 6 points. A reminder, it is 3 points per elimination in these semifinals. So you can rack up an incredible amount of consistency just by securing elims.
Yep, you already see Hove and Notch still peeking out. 268 above the threshold. Not too much to worry about, but they still want to try to find those eliminations. That might have been Aguilar and Complot taking the brunt of that shot across. And Tavern, our pick, he's going to get dropped for a moment. No more shields. He's actually going to get knocked all the way. Kaz going to be left by himself, trying to be the hero of the squad. 29 HP and a dream, but he does have the resources. He has the heals, but he just needs to get a moment to catch his breath here as he's finding his way around to even catch that refresh. It might have been Turtle's fallen resources, but now they're his.
Picks up Tavern's loot, 114 above Storm Surge, trying to use those minis as quickly as possible to recuperate the shield. You can actually see Slick also was knocked down in a similar engagement, but now we have Aguilar looking to see if he can secure more. Gets one knockdown, trying to get into the box of his opponent there, but be careful. There's a dangerous situation. Storm Surge is ticking. There are a lot of duos in the surrounding area, but Aguilar seems to have got out safe with 2 eliminations, but don't want to talk too soon because anything can happen, Jacob.
Yeah, they're such in a fantastic spot. 3 eliminations, 11 splashes on Aguilar alone, and mini shields. This is a great spot. They just can't peek. They shouldn't peek. I can't say they can't, because they can do whatever they want here realistically. But look at that. They open the cover, and they find themselves a makeshift vault of sorts as a whole pile of loot towards the low ground. A full-on mat refresh, but ZNO is going to have to find a way to get 49 damage here, because he's below that threshold that he's already taken that Storm Surge damage. So looking left, not able to see what he wants. Looking right, finally finding something in the distance, but it's only a mirage, something that isn't even there.
Oh, Zeno and Nickjaw, 37 below. They have no more heals, no more shields to recuperate this damage from the Storm Surge. They have to do damage now. Actually, look at that. There is one big pot. Zeno's going to try and pull it off, but no, is unable to get it. Goes down now. That means there's 50 players alive, so Storm Surge should stop ticking now.
Yeah, I think he kind of lived on a prayer with his teammates going down. But that's something you kind of see throughout every single region. There's going to come a point in time to where if you try to save your teammate, whether he's knocked, whether you're trying to give the heals, anything like that, you could cost you and your teammate the entire game trying to make that play. But Frappa and Nate know exactly what to do in this situation. You talked about their rotation resources in the Chili Splashes and the Spider-Man Mythics. Tons of mats as well. So the choice is there, how they want to try to get around this battlefield, but the information that they're gathering is so crucial, so that gives them the go-ahead. They're going to grab that Chili Splash, use it, and then Mythic their way towards the front side of zone.
Ooh, I'm liking this rotate with Frappa and Nate, using the Spider-Man web shooters, just like you said, combined with a Chili Chug Splash, but be careful. The rotation's just getting started. They still have a ways to go. The key of using the Spider-Man web shooters correctly in duos is staying close to your duo, not getting caught off guard as Frappa gets cracked, gets boxed up by Aguilar. He has to get out of the situation. 25 HP to work with. He got out, but now he has to get the zone. He has to heal up, and he's split with his duo Nate.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of teams trying to take a share of the high ground, but Crimson and Flux doing their best to hold on to it, and they need to be very, very aware, which is why you see them not pressuring the low ground. They're making sure anybody they hear jump padding around is not going to have a free and safe retake as they try to connect, making it easier. Frappi waiting right below him, but he's separated from his teammate Nate still. They're trying to find their way together and reunited at last, but the damage has been done. Everything has been felt. They are very low on almost everything when it comes to health and shields, and Flux and Crimson, they're not low on anything. They're just sitting high, sitting pretty, waiting for the opportunity to strike.
Meanwhile, take a look at Buzo here, using a launch pad to secure a nice position in zone. Let's see if he can group up with his duo Evol here, going fully to the low ground, boxing up, staying safe. Still has a lot of materials to work with, but what I'm seeing is they don't have any shields. No minis, no bigs on Buzo. I think his teammate has a bit. Frappi now has been eliminated from the match. We have Cypers with one elimination, 15 points, trying to get a rotate in as a solo now. Has a bit of materials, Jacob, but it's going to be a hard clutch.
Yeah, very, very hard here, but somehow, some way, with just a spicy pepper, he's figuring out, trying to pop that med kit. If he gets contested at all, gets shot at on his box, he will not be able to pop it off, so he has to go uncontested. Hob and Notch and Hove actually are trying to figure it out, getting those bottom covers, still taking shots, but their main goal here is to try to stay ahead of the zone because they have all the resources. Everything that they need is they're trying to pressure Caleb and Ginzo. They don't know that's the first place team, but they're just trying to make everybody's job that much harder as they continue to move their way in towards zone. Crimson and Flux, the team that continues to hold on to the high ground. My only question is how much resources do they have left, because they've been holding it for quite a while.
They've been holding it for a while. If they have a good amount of material still, they should be able to hold it for longer. But looking here at Natch and Hob, who have an incredible amount of that Stinger SMG ammunition to keep applying pressure to the duos that are below. But take a look. Looks like there's a high ground retake coming in. V-Lux and his duo, they're going to have to make a choice here. Are they going to battle it out, or are they going to drop down? V-Lux drops down, giving up the high ground now. An opposing duo has it. It's Dom and his duo, Jacob.
What a perfect time. Flux, he had no ammo, 2 MK7s. All he could do is probably throw a mini at somebody's forehead, hoping it could do damage, because that's the only hope. He has to reunite with his teammates, and that's exactly why he dropped down low. And that was the perfect opportunity for Dom and Creep, one of our teams to watch, to steal away that high ground, but they do not have many resources, which is why they're trying to traverse over old builds and recycle those. But Hob and Notch, they're continuing to push their way through. They have all the heal in the world, and even more as they get the Siphon onto Matt, continuing to push their way through the box. taking moment by moment, trying to steal away that high ground if the opportunity presents itself.
Already 7 eliminations for Nob and his duo, but take a look at that, taking the high ground quickly, but they're gonna get contested. They're gonna have to battle it out. It's not gonna be a free high ground right now. Hava Notch do have it. Looks like their opponents finally drop down. They still have the chili chug splashes. They still have materials. Will they be able to secure that victory royale though? It's looking good so far, getting the tags on the low ground, getting those eliminations. There's only 3 duos left, Jacob.
Yep, 2v1v1 with Hove and Notch having that high ground. They have the resources. They have the heals. They have everything in the world. They just cannot drop down low and bring themselves to the opponent's level. And that is why hold the high ground. Put the
played that flawlessly, from staying in the mid to low ground, securing eliminations, getting refreshes, to waiting for the perfect moment to take that high ground. And when they saw it, they took it and they finished the game off, securing the victory royale.
Yep. And you talked about it throughout the course of that game. And yesterday as well, it's been a thing. Taking high ground too early, it could find you some eliminations. It could allow you to make it towards that end game and pick up a couple placement points. But if you run out of match, you're going to be forced to drop down early. And a team like Creep and Dom will just be waiting for that opportunity to steal it away. And Fratby and Nate is one of those teams to where they just played a middle layer throughout the course of that end game. Calm, cool, collected, not a worry in the world, because they knew they had it in the bag.
Nob and Hot showed us how you have to play a semifinals, when you have to take high ground to secure that victory royale. But there was so much action that I want to see the desk unfolded.
So production, I don't know I think there was an error in the opening of show where we looked at our predictions, because yesterday I had Notch and Hove. Why wouldn't I pick them again? So clearly I win, everyone. Congratulations to me. All the no, but seriously, incredible performance from the
This looks accurate to me, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm with Panda. This looks pretty accurate.
All right, listen. Just give it a game, all right? Next game, Frappe and Nate. That's how good I am, that I can see into the future. And I see Notch and Hove. Right. So that's all I was doing. I was just looking into the future. But we have to look into the past at some of the highlights that we got to see there, because obviously Notch and Hove had an incredible run there and a few back and forths of the height steal. Panda, we were talking about the early game.
Absolutely. I mean, look, when you're talking about a team doing big things, right? It's Fratby and Nate trying to hold on, trying to make something happen. This is your actual pick for the day, but your pick from yesterday here, and Notch and Hove, they were able to clutch it out because they knew when to take high ground. Again, veteran player mindset here going into these final moments. We watched it unfold. They, not only them trying to take high ground, somebody else did as well, but they were the ones that were victorious. They were the ones that were able to claim it, hold it, and then pressure these players down low and walk away with tons of eliminations.
I mean, Clay, there was a lot of incredible plays there, but I actually do want to talk about one of the teams that we saw steal height, Dom and Creep, doing a pretty good job there. We also focused on them at the start of the show. So, you know, they were able to show that they already were able to grab height. Next game, clearly they're going to do it again, right?
Oh, for sure. And I wanted to point out, like, normally it's like 7 in the 8 zone when you grab height, but we've seen this week that it's 9 zone. If you're taking height in 9 zone, you're more likely going to win that game. So I look forward to seeing what Creep and Dom can do there.
Wait,
and see, hey, we learned, let's not take it too early. Let's go for that 9 zone, play that second height level until you get to that moment. So I think they can do it.
Clay, to add on to that, do you think that we're seeing this kind of later zone take or height take from the later zones because of the Spider-Man web shooters allowing mobility and that kind of access? Or is it because people know that this is a VR-heavy format for the semifinals?
I would say it's about 70% on the mobility and then 30% on the VR, just because we have those chili chug splashes
on Xbox
prevalent this season than we did the last chapter, and they're going to be in everyone's inventory because they're speed boost and they heal you up as well. So obviously players are focused on that victory royale, but having that more abundance of resources for mobility will make it a lot easier.
On PlayStation,
I want to add to that because zones have been a little bit longer. I don't know if you know this, but recently, right, for those at home that might not know, the zones have been extended a little bit, causing
you
the
got-
game to be a
he's
little
gonna
bit
have to pay for
longer,
it, though.
which is another factor into why high ground is being taken so late.
That's interesting. And
gonna
obviously,
have to
let's
pay for
recap
it.
just real quick in case you guys are joining us right
Woman.
now. Who was the first
gonna
winner
have to pay for his
of game
seasoning.
number 1? And what do you know? It's Hove
have to
and
pay
Notch
$10
representing
$10
33
for
there. I'm
seasoning.
sure that team is feeling quite proud of this
$10.
duo right now. They're going to be joining the 16 teams that qualified
$10,
through
yeah.
qualifiers 1 and 2, and of course the 11 that qualified yesterday.
have
But we
to-
have
it's
to
a
look at
must,
the
it's a
teams
must,
that
it's a
had
must.
an incredible performance but
It's a
weren't
must.
able to
You have
grab
to
that
pay it
VR.
$10.
And the first name that
man,
I'm
you
seeing
don't have-
is
I mean,
Monkey and Pump
You can
there,
have to-
Clay.
Are you sure you don't know this after game?
Yeah, an interesting duo came out yesterday, tried their best. We're gonna fall a little bit short, but they took 9
No, I don't know the change of
eliminations.
PlayStation.
I think they ended up getting like 3rd place there, I believe,
I know
is
they're
the
on
point
Xbox,
breakdown
but
there for them.
Tom, you might have
So
to go to
overall, did a
PlayStation, go
really
to his
great
profile
job,
and
and
press
they keep
change
it up.
name,
They're
and that's
gonna
how it works.
qualify through.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And on top of that, like when you see
PlayStation
names
profile
like J-Rose and
change
E22 there, we saw this yesterday with them. They were there in the top 6 after game 1, but they found themselves slipping out of it. So maybe they're changing the game plan today.
Wait, what are you
Hopefully
trying to do?
they
Accept
can.
his
They just
friend
got to stay
request?
consistent here in day 2. But anything goes because there's still 4 more
Are you
matches
trying
to
to
play.
understand what you trying
And
to do?
Clay,
You
we
trying
talked
to
a
accept
little
his
bit about
request?
this at the
His
start of the
friend
show, but now that Notch and Hove has kind of moved on to the finals, or they have moved on to the finals, do you think that a team is going to
Okay.
try and look at their drop spot as a viable place
Woman,
to be
woman,
landing now?
woman.
I think we're getting to the point where players are starting to realize, hey,
That's
we're
what
running out of games today, and in the grand scheme of it all, we're almost halfway through the overall
trying to
semifinals
join
games.
his friend?
So I think they're starting to look at that.
He
They're starting
trying
to say,
to join his
hey,
friend?
we keep getting eliminated. Maybe give them one more game, and then that 3rd game for sure, we'll see a couple teams switch, just
Okay.
because it makes
Tell
more
his friend
sense.
and
Hey,
invite him,
let's
and
stop
you
if we're
see
losing
a
this
button
now to
on your
try
controller,
to
you
give
press
us
it.
the most amount of games to succeed.
And just as Clay said, although we've just wrapped up game number 1 of day 2, we have a whole nother day tomorrow with an
can't change
additional
that. You have to pay-
game on top of the format. So
pay for them to
maybe
get
your
the
favorite
team.
teams aren't doing too well right now. Well, there is more than enough opportunity for them to look at what they're doing, maybe even VOD review, and make those changes. But everyone, that's us for right now. We're going to be hopping on back to our
No, we
casters
can't do that.
for
We
game
need to
number
do it on
2.
the-
So
on
let's
the
see what they have
PlayStation
to say,
phone.
Takada and Jacob.
Thank you so
Well,
much, Kelly.
first of all, I
Amazing
don't play
breakdown from
PlayStation,
the
that's what I'm
desk.
telling you.
We are
Okay.
going to be getting here
Get the control,
we're going to be
get the
getting into
control.
game 2 here shortly. But I mean, Jacob, we just saw an incredible match in game 1. There was action
Press the middle
throughout the
button.
whole game, from battles in Tilted
The
to
middle
teams battling it out on the edge of the storm, rotating
block
in
it.
with
I think it's a big
vehicles.
block
I
it.
mean, that was an incredible game, and we're just getting started.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that you have to be almost picture perfect on
Tell
your
him go-
game
okay,
plan,
go to
because you saw
profile.
a couple teams to land directly in Tilted. Combat and Zay is one of them, who had a phenomenal day yesterday,
profile. That's
just
what
missing
the
out
team
on
is.
qualification. The zone stayed towards Tilted almost throughout the course of the game, and that made me think for them, they may not have known how to get that surge for a team that's used to probably rotating around, finding a spot that is easily with some high ground and rotation heavy from a lot of the other teams. But how this one will play out, we won't have to wait long. Once again, the competitors are ready. Battle Bus is on the way, and
Press
game
switch
number
user.
2 is right around the corner.
Go to his press Morgan.
Battle Bus is ready. Players are dropping in. We've seen action in the Daily Bugle in Tilted Towers, but these teams, they're just getting started. 11 new duos here in day 2 of the semifinals. 11 duos qualified in day 1 of the semifinals, so the drop spots have been mixed and matched a little bit, and we're taking a look at one of the popular ones, Greasy Grove here. We have Chicken and his duo partner that actually looks like they have it uncontested, Jacob, or am I mistaken?
I mean, it looks uncontested to me, and that's a little bit of a surprise, but hey, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and I like the way he just grabbed the pistol, saw that they were uncontested, and immediately tried to shoot at some of these players going through the sky to their own drop spot, but over towards Daily Bugle. We've seen this fight throughout 2 different days so far, and Ghosty is already trying to take some shots after G-Bon and separated again. That's been the trend of Daily Bugle overall. You separate, you're probably going out.
Ooh, Jeevan is gonna go down here. That was actually the duo which came out on top in the Daily Bugle last match, if I'm not mistaken, and that engagement finished quickly, and just like the engagement in this match, it also finished quickly. It looks like these players are battling it out instantly in the Daily Bugle, which is a good call because now they can focus strictly on their loot path, on looting, getting those materials up. And I mean, you have the guaranteed Spider-Man's web shooters, so rotating later in the match shouldn't be too much of a problem.
On over towards Covert Canyon, where if you rotate the wrong direction without your teammate, you're probably going to end up lost, and the same thing will happen to you as in that last elimination. Just a little bit of separation is all it needs. Zevo and Buzzo kind of trying to get as much loot as they can. They made it far yesterday as well, but it does look like they're getting hunted. Striker, pump shotgun in hand, trying to land those jump shots and bring his opponent in. And I like the way he's playing this low ground. He's just trying to bait somebody down towards his level and negate that high ground.
Looking for that positional advantage is very important in these early game engagements, as you don't have the time to farm up a lot of materials. So it's all about having that high ground or having that positional advantage, even loot advantage, knowing the most efficient loot path in your drop spot to have more loot than your opponents. That's what it's about in these early game engagements. But taking a look at Bumboy here, who doesn't have the player advantage as he's in a 1v2 situation.
Yeah, this is not the way you want him. Elder and Statics yesterday as well. One of those teams. And I like the way Clay kind of said it. You know, you're running out of games. If you started yesterday, you had a total of about 16 games to try to qualify. Obviously, leaderboards change against Bumboy, trying to go in and get his own leaderboard points, getting the knock onto Static, forcing Elder on the defensive. And I don't even know if he saw him try to escape there for that moment, but he's just going to turn around, try to get that siphon. But here's the audio of him trying to escape, and this is where he's going to take high ground and let that MK7 run free. Only gets one tag. So for now, Elder might escape, but he's going to have another opportunity here. How much can Elder run with? No mats. He's going to have to backtrack just a little bit for the tree. And great by Bumboy to deny the mats and the resource gain. So this one could be like shooting fish in a barrel. The shots get lined up, but he slides down the mountain just in the nick of time. Who thought a great escape would be that exciting?
I was biting my nails, Jacob, especially when Bumboy took down the tree. I thought it was over for his opponent, but he managed to make the great escape. He got out of there, and although Bumboy did not have the player advantage, he did have the loot and positional advantage. But look at this. Jacob, did we just see the same thing?
That wasn't a 50-50. That was a 25, 25, 25, 25. Everybody gets to share that one. But Poppy Blast over here. This is the Aguilar fight I was talking about. Communication was hurting them, and it looks like communication hurt them again as Aguilar, after a big victory in game number 1, goes down early in game number 2.
Taking a look here at Bumboy again. Looks like he wants to get the reboot on his duo partner, G5RC, and it looks like he's going to be able to do it. I don't see any duos close by, no players close by, so now the problem here is they're going to have to farm up those materials, seeing that they had a little bit of delay in the early game to that engagement, so it's going to take a bit longer, but if they get some lucky zones and don't have to rotate too far, it could be like that never happened.
Uh-oh. You see that stat? That stat's scary. That stat's scary if you're a fan of Bumboy. No team this season has gone on to win a game in set lobbies after rebooting a player.
I mean, look.
I don't know if he knew that stat, but you might think twice. It's Kinzo and Caleb, second place so far. I thought they were going to qualify in qualifier number 1, but sometimes you need more than one chance. Chili Splash being used, and remember, he just rebooted his teammates, so the resources are very, very thin on this duo.
Perfect time for the stat to come up. I was going to give them a little bit of hope, a little bit of faith, but now as the duo, opposing duo is looking to make a push onto them, and Bumboy's duo does not have a lot of materials, does not have a lot of loot, this is not going to be an engagement they want to take. But you can see, making use of those chili chug splashes to have more mobility than their opponents, disengaging successfully. And although they made it out of that engagement, now it's going to be a battle to having enough loot and materials for that late game. Taking a look though here on the edge of the map, we have Pump. I thought he was going towards his teammate, but clearly that was not his teammate, Jacob.
Yo, that tricked me too. I thought he had somebody waiting to be the guardian angel, a halo on his head, ready to save the day. But it's just an enemy. It's just evil waiting for an easy elimination and refresh as well. And it almost makes me wonder, because I didn't see his teammate on the mini-map as he forced by himself as well. Did Buzzo get taken out early? Only time will tell. But Kinzo and Caleb, the team that we saw get aggressive, are now trying to put themselves on some high ground so they can get tags that they need. But Cool and Kaboo They're trying to sneak up on this team and really make short work, and they do it to perfection. Drops the shield in a blink of an eye, and even tags 40 white HP off of that player.
Looking now to see if they can explode the vehicle, but look at that. They said, we did enough damage. We got our Storm Surge. Take a look at the bottom right. They're not in the zone right now. They have to rotate, so although that could have been an elimination and they had the player advantage, they're not going to risk it. They're happy with the damage they did. They're going to go straight to the rotate and get a better position.
Yeah, this is, I like this play because depending on how they did overall, sitting in 24th place, it can't be too good in game number 1. You need to start building that momentum. You need to start building that positivity so that you can start to feel that even if you don't win a game, you put yourself in a position to get that top 6 points on consistency. And here's another one. I almost picked them yesterday. J Roses and E22. They're landing over towards that spot that we saw in qualifier number 1. I think it's Mighty Monument, Rich Homie Gwyn, and Wave qualified after a big game number 5 and a solo clutch by Wave. And hopefully J Roses and E22 don't have to follow that same road of clutching up in game number 5 as a solo, but hopefully they're going to be able to get their points. They're already in 3rd, so it's looking great for them.
Yeah, speaking a bit about Rich Homie Gwyn, too, already qualified. He was actually playing trios with Wave and Cool. Cool, the player that we just saw hit the rift there at the corner of the map. So, I mean, hey, if they can end up securing a victory royale, they'll be with Gwyn there in the grand finals, have some X-trio action going on. But taking a look here at Nate and Frappi, they have just as good as loot as last game. They have the Spider-Man Rev shooters. They have the launch pad for mobility, but they're in an engagement, and it's looking a little scary as Frappi doesn't have full shield. But Nate's feeling confident.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling confident. Trying to at least, at the minimum, get the tag. Ooh, spots the player out and gets the knock. This is usually, you know as well as I do, where players begin to get aggressive. Picking up this elimination is crucial for Nate and Frappi. And Frappi in their way of qualification, and Nate not even going for the knock. He's just trying to chase down Bumboy, not letting this duo survive. And this is where it is going to get thick, as 22 damage is just being shaved off him. And depending if that's another enemy sitting in the storm, Covert Canyon is just a battlefield waiting for players to traverse and catch off guard.
That is the second time this game that Bumboy has lost his duo partner, living up to the statistic where, I mean, no duo secured a victory royale after rebooting. So, I mean, it's not looking great for Bumboy, Jacob.
Maybe he has a chance now. Or would that stat actually still work? I think the stat would technically still work because he did reboot his teammate, but maybe that's what he's thinking, bro. I just got to throw you in the backpack. You can watch. Just call out my resources and anything that I don't see. As this is a nice triple POV here, trying to figure out how 3 different views around the map. You got Caleb. They're sitting towards that top side of the map. Shift these shafts. You got the bottom side and Creep and Dom. And then you've got that right side and J Roses and E22. 3 different teams going through 3 different situations, as Caleb and Kinzo are the ones that are looking for the tags. They have the high ground, and we saw them get in this position, and that's why they're trying to leave that high ground as well at the same time, is because they didn't get the tags that they want. There's not too many duo teams around, so now they have to start looking for them.
Luckily enough, though, Cable does have 1 elimination, so they've got a bit of tags going, but it's never enough. Taking a replay here of Bumboy to see what happened after that engagement here. He managed to barely get out, but I believe, yeah, there it is. Frappi said, I'm not done with you, using his Spider-Man web shooters to catch up and finish that elimination. In my opinion, that's worth it. That's 3 extra points that are going to help a lot for that consistency leaderboard.
Yeah, leaderboard, it's going to help for this game as well, not having to worry about that surge. And for a second there, when that replay showed up and I saw Evo just hiding in that corner, I thought he was just sneaking players all over the map, getting some eliminations. So for him, he just escaped on his own right, because that could have easily been him going down. But J Roses, E22, trying to rotate. And it looks like they're trying to take a little bit of that slow side, maybe even take the scraps that are left over on Daily Bugle, maybe some web slingers that might be over on that side of the map. But 79 above the threshold, they're still going to be looking for tags all at the same time.
And they're going to be getting some. Now 120 above, got nice 2 shots off from that MK7 assault rifle. Now seeing if they can get a little closer, because that is a good position on the mountain of the Daily Bugle. You have a good elevation, but be careful, because if there's a duo looking at you, you don't want to end up losing shield just to get that position. So they're going to take the smart rotate here on the right side, maybe even get a bounce up with the webs to get there quickly. But be careful, because if the other duo's looking, they might get some shots off, but no. Looks like they got a clean rotate now, taking a look at Evil and Buzo, who are 36 below Storm Surge.
I'm surprised, but at the same time, I'm not, because the one elimination he did get was already a weak player. Yeah, at least half HP, because he was getting shot out of the sky. And this is where Vibesy on our side. He had a rough game as well last time around that we saw him. This time, 82 below the threshold. That seems to be a common trend as he's trying to find the enemies. He's trying to break into a box. And with that Stinger SMG, it's easy. But at the same time, without your teammate, you break into the wrong box. That could be you going down and out.
Oh, that could be you getting eliminated, but I'm liking the loot here on Vbixi, who has 10 shots in their Spider-Man web shooters, 5 chili chug splashes. I mean, I feel like we've seen so many duos with incredible mobility. If you have the chili chug splashes, that's one thing. If you have them alongside the Spider-Man web shooters, I mean, you're looking great for the late game. Looking at the right side of the map as well, we have a player here looking to see if he can get a replace on the cone, but be careful. There's some edits that you don't want to open, Jacob.
No, not that one right there. Beast and Remy. Beast over peaks, but he's still putting those shots down. He's trying to do it as a solo. At this point in time, probably simply trying to do it for a refresh. Definitely the game on the line. Tiny and Fruit is that duo that is towards the bottom. 62 HP. Luckily for him, he is going to be above the threshold, so it's something that he doesn't have to worry about for now. And I say for now because sooner or later, it is going to be a thought in his mind once it creeps back on up. But for now, it's just taking it in stride. You can survive. Other teams are taking the damage. You take it step by step in order to make it to the end game.
Taking a look here at World Cut, who has 21 damage below the Storm Surge, alongside his duo Kika, with enough shields to kind of hold it up for a bit. But I mean, there's 74 players alive. That means 4 players have to be eliminated for this Storm Surge to stop. But taking a look at the right, we have Buzo again. We just saw them. They were looking so good, but now Buzo's in a 1v2 situation, does not have the player advantage, having his duo drop him materials as he's knocked down. But it looks like he's made the opponents disengage for a short amount of time. He's gonna have to either win this 1v2 or find a way to get out and pick up his teammate. But no, teammate finally gets eliminated. Now it's officially a 1 versus 2.
Yeah, I do believe Buzo was taken down early on, forced to get rebooted as Evo finally drops. At least they have that 3 points from that elimination this game. Trying to make something happen here, but he's going to need a miracle on his side as he finally does go down to Smuck. And that was another team yesterday. They finished 7th place, right on the bubble. 3 points shy, 1 elimination. That's probably why they're getting just a little bit more aggressive this time around.
Yeah, I mean, if you're so close, it can be a little stressful, but also it can be motivating. You're 1 off. I mean, you just have to make it in this day 2 and you're in. So if they play their cards right, they just get 1 more elimination than they did yesterday. That could be enough. We can see he got a nice beam with the MK7 to secure that elimination. So I mean, that could be the 3 points that qualifies them, Jacob. I'm just saying.
Yeah, only worry that has for me is that player was already weak going through the damage that is Storm Surge. So Worldka and Kika not getting too much damage for their own, but trying to go ahead and put the shots onto Rush, neutralize the vehicle, and make him go through that same hard journey that they're going through now. They're going to be one of the last teams to rotate in. If you can already look at the head of that mini-map, it's going to be a highly congested side. And if they're going to be the last one to the party, they can easily become the target. And already they're not in zone, and shots are already firing off.
Looking to see where they want to position themselves. Wants to get a little bit more into zone, higher up on the elevation, but be careful because if you're right above another duo, they have the option to drop you down. Do a double spray with the Stinger SMG, and it can be dangerous, especially if other duos start looking and you start getting focused by third parties. But looks like they've made it into zone, built up their box with metal, and now it's kind of a waiting game to see where these zones close, see which damage they can do here with the MK7 or depending on the loadout they have. But so far it's looking good for a lot of these teams that have made it into zone. But I mean, Jacob, look at that mini map.
Oh my gosh, I think I only see 2 out of 34, maybe 3 now, as one barely got in towards the zone. That is inside, safe as can be. And for Rush as a solo, I feel a little bad for him. Fratby and Nate, they got some traveling to do, but they got a bunch of mobility. But I like the way Fratby is getting the information. He's looking towards his backside, looking towards his front side, trying to figure out where all these duos are at, and trying to figure out the perfect rotation for him and his duo to try to make. And Nate, he saw what he liked and already he's getting that communication, trying to figure out the last resources before they make their move. And it's going to be a great move because just like the southern portion of the circle that's in zone, that west is just as stacked.
Oh, tilted, or actually Sleepy Sounds, getting confused there with the POIs, is right beside the zone. So the good thing is they can use these buildings while they rotate with the vehicle to kind of block off some angles they have on some of the opposing duos. But as they enter the zone and get closer, that's when it opens up. That's when there's a lot of angles, but they've done it perfectly, using that bridge to not have as much of a focus. They're getting some shots onto them, but take some shots back, hold it out, and they should be good.
And that's why I always bring up some of the content pieces from yesterday and the Storm Chasers one from today. Choosing that spot in zone is so important. Do you go to the center? Do you put yourself deep? Do you put yourself on the edge? And for them, they would realize they were one of the last teams towards the zone. Edge is the perfect spot for them because if they try to go toward the center, they will certainly become a target. Is Rush on our right side still doing big things as a solo, but that run could come to an end as he's 151 below the threshold. It takes a ton of damage across the map. Caleb and Kidzo on our left side, they're trying to pick up an elimination, drop a team down to the box. And this is something that you said to watch out for. Be very, very careful where you position yourself because Caleb and Kidzo, or a duo just like it, will not hesitate to drop you in.
Storm Surge is so important in these lobbies that you have to know every way there is to get damage done. From double splays on floors, from pre-edits, but looking at Rush here, he's trying to get into that box, get into that engagement. He's now playing as a solo without any shields. 154 damage below the Storm Surge threshold, so he has to make a play happen if he wants to come out on top. That's a duo in front of him. It's going to be a 1 versus 2, but be careful as the builds are getting annihilated here. Rush, you've got to make something happen, and you have to do it now.
Was that a boat? What was that? Just explode a car. It was a vehicle just getting drove into him and just exploded. Great use of the resource. Whoever thought that one and that trick from up their sleeve. But you see the elimination feed. Tons of teams and duo players going down, and we're into our final 30 teams left alive. Make it 29 as Frappi goes down. So does Pollo. There's a ton of teams continuing to fall right before our eyes.
Frappi is on the ground, but Nate is seeing if he can pick him up in time. If you look at the mini-map, though, they're on the opposite side of that 5th zone, that half and half zone. They have a long ways to rotate, but they do have that launch pad. So if they can make use of it in a nice position without getting focused in the air, this could be a good rotate.
Yep, everybody close to them is battling each other to try to get themselves a safe spot. They just jump over everybody, say, hey, we can do this while you guys go ahead and just go ahead and cause that chaos. We're just going to find ourselves a spot in towards zone as Nate immediately gets shot upon, but it's just for a moment because you cannot focus on him for too long because every other team is now finally making their way in towards the zone. The last one finally made it in as Zare also goes down. Salco getting that elimination. Another player on the bubble going into the 5th and final game yesterday who went down just a little too early.
Oh, you can take a look here on the top-down view. There's a lot of duos here on the west side of the circle. Duos on the east, but I mean, north and south, it's looking pretty open here. Nate and Frappi, they're on a lower level here. So for that Spider-Man web shooters, it might be a little difficult to get a clean rotate. You generally want to be on a higher elevated area when looking for a rotate with that item.
Everybody here is going to have to go. Everybody getting a little bit of a mix. Not one team definitively in the front of zone, but at the same time, not one team definitively towards the back side of zone. So everybody's going to have their work cut out for them. It's J Rose, a Sneak Tutu, just trying to find somebody slipping, taking piece by piece away. They know a team's down there, but they can't take too long and focus on one team because of how close everybody is. And Frappi and Nate, back-to-back launch pads being used to try to get themselves in towards the zone yet again, as close as they possibly can. And they still have the Spider-Man web slinger, so rotation is easily theirs, and so is that shot from above to go ahead and take it down. But Trey is trying to go ahead and push through that box from the backside, catch Frappi and Nate off guard, but he only did so much as they finally back off.
They've got to be careful. 30 seconds till Storm Surge starts ticking. 11 players have to be eliminated to avoid that Storm Surge, and they are 170 damage below. So they have to start rotating, but also start looking for tags, looking for shots with that striker pump shotgun, the MK7, but Frappi goes down. Nate is now alone, seeing what he can do to survive.
What can Nate do by himself? Still a ton of mobility and heals. No HP, though. currently in his inventory if he does take too many shots. But gets himself a great spot in towards zone. Turtle, Tavern, and Kaz with the high ground. Kinzo and Caleb shortly right below him, but we see what happens. Take the high ground a little too early in 7 and 8 zone. In that 9 zone, somebody could try to steal. As you see, Kinzo and Caleb waiting for that perfect opportunity, and that's Kaz staying toward the backside of the high ground, shooting them down, making sure that they don't even have a chance. But Tavern is just trying to connect, make it as safe as possible, and that's why you have the 2 different roles on the team.
Look at that double layer high ground. You had Cause extra high, so all the duos that are padding can see they've got high ground on lockdown, as Tavern is ahead of zone, so duos can't contest it ahead and they can't land on them. They had everything covered to take that high ground, but now they've grouped up, and Combat and his duo saw that opportunity to take the high ground. It is now a battle for the high ground. Jacob, who is going to end up taking it?
It looked like they got separated for a moment, and that's what took Kaz to take too much damage, and he goes down in the elimination feed. E22 trying to survive. He has plenty of splashes to go ahead and heal up that HP when it's necessary, and Tavern's gonna fall as well. Both of those players go down, but Zay's got chopped down as well. Everybody from the high ground comes falling. It's only gonna be one team left, and it's Cool and Kaboo, who found a way to steal it away from the 2 fallen duos.
They've taken high ground. It's 8th zone. We've been talking about it. You don't want to take high ground too early. You need to wait for that perfect opportunity, just like Cool and Cabo did here. They have 4 total eliminations, total of 32 points, but be careful. There's another player that's looking at it. Sharp contesting that high ground, as it seems to be a solo, so Cabo and Cool do have the advantage.
Yep, so many solo players brave enough to try to make a play for this high ground, but we seen it yesterday as well. Bolts coming into 3rd place, almost stealing away a victory royale for himself, but again he goes to today's journey as Caleb and Kinzo. They have enough soft mats to try to get themselves in towards zone, but I think that's going to be it, so they might be trying to look for some tags, possible refresh as well. You see him looking up, gathering that information. Kaboo got shot down for just a moment. Caleb hits with a great 80 tag. Kinzo is trying to take advantage. Kaboo gets dropped. It's up to Caleb and Kinzo. The siphon's going to be cleaned up. They get the refresh. They got 6 eliminations so far. 5 duo teams remain, but Kinzo falls. That's Combat back from the grave to go ahead and claim that elimination and take the high ground right back, but he's going to fall. That's Caleb trying to get the resources to heal back up. Only 5 teams remain, 7 total players.
Caleb and Wombat having that engagement, that battle for the high ground. Will Combat come out on top, or will Day, another player, come from the zone and secure the high ground while they're battling it out? Looks like Day has it right now, but his duo partner Slick has been eliminated. He has the med mist to tank a bit of zone, and he also has 64 builds. So Day is looking healthy on the high ground, but Caleb, he's second high. He might still want it.
Got Mojo and Salco towards the bottom as well. One of the only few duos left. Caleb is just trying to put down the necessary shots. That's going to be a big one onto Combat to pick up that elimination. They have 7 so far, but with no resources, he's going to have to recycle. He's going to have to play this one perfect. Mini shield at the right time, using the big pot, but he doesn't have enough space. He gets shot from above, dropped to 2 HP. There goes Day to finish off that elimination. We got a 2v1v1. Day, Vibesy versus Mojo and Salco. Only one team can take the victory royale in the end, and Day has all the mats in the world. He has a great med miss and a great opportunity.
3 duos alive, 4 players. That's 2 solos and 1 duo. The duo is Salco and Mojo. They have 8 total eliminations on the low ground. They have the med mist to tank it. They have the player advantage. It looks like they have everything they need to take this game. 1 player also on the high ground, which is Day. Will he be able to do it, Jacob?
Trying to figure out, I was gonna say, Vibesy finally going down to the store. Armor wall on today. Salco knows his teammate is gonna go ahead and stay in the zone. He's gonna be the one to rely on. His HP is dwindling though. Salco is gonna go down. 1v1. Mojo has what it takes to win this heal off, using the med mist first. Day is trying to find his opponent. He's using a med mist on his own, but he has no splashes. That's going to be the difference maker. Day has to drop down and take out Mojo before the splashes come into play, but it doesn't look like he's gonna get that opportunity. Mojo's on the run, and he will take game number 2 and advance to our finals.
We just saw a heal off here in Chapter 3. Something that is not very common. Both players making use of the med mist, but only one player making use of the chug splashes. And that was Mojo and Salco, who came out victorious.
Yeah, it was yesterday where me and Clay were kind of having a little fun with Salco hiding behind a tree, trying not to be too suspicious. Unfortunate enough, he went down in, I do believe it was 9th place. They were 12 points shy. Now, they don't have to worry about points at all. They're going directly to our finals, and they get to watch and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Very well played there. We even saw that Salco did not give the elimination today, refusing that siphon heal that he would have got if he ended up securing that elimination. And I mean, that could have been the game changer.
Yeah, that would have definitely, that's something I didn't even think about throughout that entire process. And that's why you're a resident pro player. That's why I trust in you to guide me through this journey.
I mean, we just saw a crazy match be unfolded in front of our eyes, but I need the desk to break that down for me.
It seems like with this format, heal-offs aren't that prominent, but there we had it in game number 2 of 1v1 situation, and it went to the way of the heal-off, Panda.
It definitely did, and that's what you kind of want to do in a situation like that. They had the low ground. They were getting elimination after elimination, and that's why they were able to pick up on all of the heals that were down low. You see the chug splashes and that med mist in play. Again, the med mist is new to Chapter 3 Season 1, so this is definitely a new dynamic to the way that players can win a game, and it's been very effective. We saw it yesterday with Snacky and Fabs in a similar situation, being able to win with a heal off. So now it's Mojo and Salco taking advantage of that same strategy, and I gotta say, they did exceptionally well here.
I think what I want to break down right now, though, Clay, is that, you know, we keep talking about the factors for success, and especially in this kind of format, and a lot of people seem it's going for height. Everyone is trying to steal height, and we even talked about the early show that it's all about taking height a bit later on than we're used to. But what we just saw right there from Mojo and Salco is that you can be on the low ground and kind of maintain all of your resources where everyone is fighting for the high ground. And if you even are able to take it and give yourself that advantage, you no longer have mats, you no longer have heals. So Clay, when does it become a realization that height isn't what matters?
Just depends on your play style, really. I mean, we saw back in the last FNCS seasons with the reboot rounds, not everyone won from high ground. They played their game, and low ground will win you games. It's rare, granted, right, in these past couple seasons where people aren't looking up towards the high ground. But now with more and more players looking up towards the high ground, I think we see people from first moving zone into second hold the high ground, but then after that it's a free-for-all. Everyone's looking up, everyone's going up, and so low ground is usually a little bit more safer during these times of turmoil.
And that's exactly what we saw there. But, you know, we keep looking towards the Victory Royale winners here, but that's just 5 of the teams that are going to be moving forward. Also, consistency is a key part of the competition today. And Kenzo's team has almost gone 100 points in just 2 games so far, Panda.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we talked about it. There's 2 different ways you make it through here. You can make it through from that VR, or it's that consistency. Caleb and Kenzo, they're choosing the consistency route, getting 2nd place, I believe, in the first game, and now just staying consistent here in game number 2. So this is a good look here for them. If they can maintain this, this can be an easy qualification to the finals.
Lots of ways to be able to make it into the finals, everyone, and maybe day number 2 just isn't the day for them. Well, we also have day number 3 tomorrow as well, where 12 final teams will be moving on to the finals. But speaking of teams moving on to the finals, let's look at which team is moving on, joining Notch and Hav. And of course, it's Mojo and Salco going for the heal off on the low ground there with a handful of eliminations as well. So incredible performance there, and love to see how they're going to be performing in just a week. But we just talked about Caleb and Kenzo having a great performance, 92 points, 31 ahead of Tutu and J Rose's Clay. I mean, clearly this is a good start for them.
It really is. It's not anything guaranteed quite yet, because we saw it elevate a little bit more over in EU and NA East. But as long as they just keep playing consistency, they're looking good. Slick and Day moving to 4th place with that finish was great overall for them. But after those, bottom layers on the bubble. It's getting really, really close.
Oh, without a doubt, any of those teams there still have an opportunity to move forward into the finals. But of course, game number 3 is going to give us that kind of insight on which teams are that much closer. So with that being said, Jacob and Takada, take it away.
Takada, this has been a phenomenal 2 games to start the day. And a lot of our teams that were actually slacking yesterday, that some of us kind of predicted to have a better day, are performing today. And do you believe, as a competitive player of your past, is it better late than never?
I mean, coming off from having a day 1 that didn't go so well, or maybe even went really well, but you were just a few points off qualifying, it can be motivating, but it can also get a little more stressful. You know, that's 1 day down where you had the opportunity to qualify. Now you're on to day 2, but listen, the battle bus is ready, the engine's getting started. Let's see if these players can make it happen.
Make it happen indeed. 2 games down, 3 games to go. This is kind of that swing game for a lot of our teams that are not necessarily in the bubble. I'm talking about teams that are possibly 16th through maybe 30th. This is that swing game to where in games 4 and 5, you might have to go for that victory royale. And for others, you might be able to play that game that got you this far. And just like that, before anybody can really touch the ground, Fruit, you're back to the lobby.
Oof, already 1 player down, but taking a look at this engagement that we're going to see in Chonkers as we have Poppy Blast and Aguilar. You've been talking about this duo here for a bit
That's
now
something
in
you
these
just terrible at
matches,
lying.
and
You
they
just suck
are
at lying.
getting into an engagement right
Like,
off the start of
You
every
suck
single
at
match,
lying.
Jacob.
You suck at it.
And for them, they said it was the communication.
You
Oh
terrible
my
at lying.
gosh,
Terrible.
or maybe
Sorry.
it's
You
2
really bad
quick
at
shots like that. Complomp, not even a chance here. And this is where he's going to have that tough decision, Takada. Do you go in? Do you try to get aggressive and get your teammates reboot card, possibly eliminations as well? Or do you continue to play the rest of this one out as a solo? And we're roughly less than 5 minutes into the game. Playing this one out as a solo is a daunting task.
I mean, Poppy Blast already got that elimination, meaning he did get the Siphon Shield, has the same amount as his opponent here, but this engagement could go any way. Blast actually going to get knocked down, making it a 1 versus 1. Show versus his opponent here. Who is going to be able to come out on top of Show? Now has 5 splashes, even more. Correct me. He can get it full shield. Look at the loot, Jacob.
11 splashes, and he didn't even open up a single, or maybe 1 chest at the end, but that's because that's the new coolers to this season. And at first, when I was playing it, I was kind of skipping past a couple of those, but after watching and seeing how much opportunity for those chug splashes, you have to go ahead and utilize those coolers, and Complot has to figure out a way to get Aguilar's card and get out alive, because he has no heals, he has no resources. Even with a chest right there and some bandages, that's not enough to fight this fight.
I mean, he might know that Show has the splashes from that cooler, but what he doesn't know is he has even more splashes from the chest and even more loot now. So he has to make that decision. Do you get out, or do you just take the engagement and try and come out on top? It's a 1 versus 1, even though we're playing duos here, and this is a very important key match. We're in game 3. If they're going for that top 6 spot in the consistency leaderboard, I mean, this is an important match.
Yep, Complomp looks like he already has Aguilar's card.
Oh, this Complomp?
1v1, I can see why he's staying here.
Wait, which Complomp is this?
He doesn't just give up all this free loot and all these free resources. He has to at least bring something home for when he finally reboots Aguilar. But you can already see on your minimap, there's a couple teams, a couple players just waiting for this one to finish so they can try to get tags of their own, as Complomp knows that his player is a solo. And it already looks like with the Striker and the MK7 that he possesses, he might have a little bit of advantage in terms of weaponry, and he knows where he's at. This is where the battle's going to begin.
The engagement is coming to a start here, Jacob.
You
Both
greedy and all
players
you
have
do
a
is
good
eat.
amount
You
of
just say that
both
yourself,
players
you're
have a
gonna
good
get
amount of
fucked.
health and shield. It's just up to who can come out on top. Nice shot from Complomp there, opening a chest, securing a bit more minis, but he's already got 6. It's all up to just who can finish this engagement. But take a look, Show might be backing off. He might say, all right, this is getting too risky. We're wasting too much time. I'm going to go for a vehicle. Look at that, though. Dom and his duo Creep have... I mean, they've came in for the third party, and they want to finish it.
Yeah, for them, depending on if they're watching the elimination feed, because that's another thing. I love these content pieces, knowing your drop spot, knowing who not only lands there, but around you as well. So if they were watching that elimination feed, they see Aguilar go down, they see Poppy Blast go down, and not see the teammates, they're like, hey, these are free eliminations ready for ours for the taking here, and Complomp is finally going to see, hey, I bit off more than I could chew. It's time to get out of here, but the shots are ready, and Dom gets in the car! Dom gets in! It doesn't let Complomp out alive. If you want to take the game in your hands, that's exactly how you do it.
That is perfect timing, but let's take a look here at our duo, which placed second in our last game, Day and Slick. They're under the duo here of Shallow and Biz, and it looks like they're getting to an engagement right off the start and more of a split drop of the map. So Slick here actually has no shields. I'm not sure if Day has some extra shields, maybe minis or bigs, but it looks like their opponents are going to be disengaging, which it seems they also don't have shields, as one of them is on less than 50 shield right now. If he had minis, he would be at 50. So it looks like both duos decided mutually, you know, let's not take this engagement. Let's make it happen later. We want to loot a bit more. We want a bit more shield. We want a bit more mats, and then we can make it happen.
And for Slick and Day, I mean, the choice is definitely theirs. They got second place last time. Slick, I know during the qualification process was really trying so hard that he messed up his own stream in that final game. Nobody was able to watch, but a replay is on the way for some of that action that we might have missed early on, but it's going to be Day and Slick. They're trying to move up on this other duo, Slicksy, and I do believe that's Vibe, but this is where Dom and Creep came in, and they immediately eliminated him, and Dom just gets in the car, peeks on over the top on Complomp, and that's where when you're Complomp, it's just a lose-lose situation. You get out, you're getting taken out. You stay in, you're getting taken out.
Yeah,
Like
it was just
right here.
It was not looking good. Taking a look though at another engagement here, a lot of battles happening here on the map. We can see Clux and Shades with the high ground, trying to see if they can make this engagement come to a close. But I mean, the loot on Clux, you could argue that it's not that good, but look, I'm a believer in the epic pistols. All right, they do a lot of damage quickly if you don't miss your shots. The bloom isn't as heavy. I mean, if you know what you're doing, I'd almost prefer a pistol to some of the assault rifles.
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of sleeping on those pistols this season. 25 to the body, 50 to the head, so you could really end one in 2 shots to 4 shots. So that is definitely something you got to watch, especially if you're not expecting it, just like you say, where everybody's kind of opting for those Stinger SMGs. But you saw a moment ago, 3 teams here stacked on the round. Now we're going to drop to 2 as Bo Crows and Sweat are going to be the only 2 towards the bottom. And both of these teams in 33rd place. So this is going to be a big game. If they don't have a massive game here, they're really going to be relying on that victory royale for the final 2.
Oof, I mean, yeah, but it's not the end of the world if you have to do that victory royale, because I mean, it's a possibility. You get some good loot, good mobility, set yourself up for the end game, and take that high ground at the right zone, you have a good chance of coming out on top. But taking a look at a team that's feeling a lot more comfortable at second place, being J Roses and Tutu, already with 61 points. And not only that, they have a good amount of loot, have the chug splashes, have the bigs, the minis, launchpad for mobility. Now it's up to damage. Will they have enough storm surge coming to these next zones? Will they have a good enough position to not lose a lot of these shields on their rotates?
See, one team's gonna get that drop. J Roses E2-2, edge of zone. Dom and Creep get shot at for just a moment. And that's where I like where you can see a lot of players might turn and try to take that fight and get an early elimination or another elimination in their case. But they know they already got that elimination on the lower side of the map, so now it's just about positioning and the rest of the surge damage that you're looking for. Is Daily Bugle hot as can be, just like we dropped here right off the start. It's actually hotter than that as Sunset trying to get the elimination, spinning around in circles. Salt Lover is going to be the first one going down, so it's all at the Sunseat, trying to go ahead and pick up the elimination, carry her teammate out to safety. And this is where the elimination is going to be important, because it forces that player to play a little passive now that it is a solo.
Looks like they are going to be able to pick up their duo partner there, but look at the amount of players. We have Rush, they're popping some shields at the bottom, an opposing duo coming in for the high ground for a third party, and I believe even another player in the middle of the building here. So this is almost like an early game off-spawn engagement with the amount of duos that are here.
trying to count right now because there's a couple of solo. 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 if you count the 5th one. A 6th and a 7th with ones kind of traversing in. And then we go back down to 6 because I do think the solo finally got out alive, but almost doesn't matter because of that statistic that we saw early on that is still going to reign true here in this game. But Frappi and Nate currently sitting in 8th place. You see them here in this trio kind of thing. 3 different duo teams, call them a little bit of a trio here. They're all going to try to disperse, get out. They know they have a long journey towards the zone, and the only ones that are going to sit here and look for shots are Balance Photo and Murph Nevitz.
Ooh, take a look at that. Rush is actually going to get the reboot, too, on his duo partner. I mean, we just saw him in the Daily Bugle, and he very quickly was able to get to a reboot ban and reboot his partner using those Spider-Man web shooters. So now he won't have as many shots if he's able to make it to the late game, but at least he used it for a good cause, getting his duo partner back up. Now, though, Nevitz and his duo Balance Photo are going to be using a vehicle here to get the rotate into zone. You can see they marked a high elevation position. They have 0 elimination, so they most likely need to do damage, and that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, get a spot a little bit out of the zone, high ground as well. You know, everybody's going to be trying to pass by there to get themselves their own spot in towards zone. But J Rose is an E2 1 elimination to their name so far. Foxy gets a good shot onto J Roses, drops the shield right on off, forcing him to stumble, trying to get out of the box. Him and his teammate are separated for now. J Rose is trying to take the high ground. I think that's where he's going to make the call for E2 to take a little bit of the high ground, create some separation, and not get split up. But there's another team trying to disrupt the fight and make their job that much easier. With them being 362 above, they need to figure out a way to get out of this position, because with multiple teams trying to end your qualification run, already sitting in 2nd, this could be disastrous. But for J Roses, he knows his situation is in. He's getting aggressive. He landed some early tags, so it's not going to be one he wants to back off of.
It's a very tough decision, Jacob, because they have that damage advantage. They actually have a knock now, so this is the confirmation. They're going to go in. They're in the 1 versus 2 with the player advantage. Jeev is going to be cracked as well. No shields to work with. 2 opponents trying to get into his box here. There's not much left for Jeev in there, but J Roses and his duo partner come out on top. What I was saying beforehand, though, is if you don't have that knock, and even though you get the crack, if you're good on Storm Surge, you have mobility, you have shields, you have to make the choice. Do you want to keep going for this engagement, seeing that you do have the advantage, or maybe do you just want to rotate the zone and not risk it, since you're already 2nd place on the leaderboard and all you have to do is secure more points each game?
Especially when there's a lot of hungry duo teams that are also going to be looking for similar eliminations, even trying to steal those away in the midst of the battle. But Zare and Fade, they won a game in qualifier number 1. Since then, they haven't had the best time of their life in these set lobbies. Looking for a change here today. Attacking from the low ground. Slick and Day falling from 2nd down to 3rd. Not too much of a slide, but they know end game is where they're going to pick up a lot of their points, but they need to survive. In order to survive for the end game, Takada, they might have to go through this duo.
They might have to. It also depends on where this zone closes. Only 8 seconds left till we see the next location. Taking a quick look, though, at Tiny here and his duo Fruit, who are trying to get more damage done. They're 98 below, but be careful. You peek too much and you might lose a bit of shield there, so they've got to be careful. We have Poppy Blast. We saw him in the early game in that engagement in Chonkers, but Tiny's made the decision. We're pushing the duo. We're going for the engagement, but that plan gets stopped very quickly as Tiny gets knocked down. Fruit with only 18 health to work with here, trying to survive, popping mini shields. This is not looking good.
And everybody that actually did get those knocks, I don't believe neither Fruit's team or the other one got either one of those as Poppy Blast and Show towards the low ground. Even though they didn't get the knock, they're trying to get the cleanups here, and they can still get one onto Fruit. The piece is going to be taken, and Fruit is going to go down. Show and Poppy Blast are going to pick up that one and continue on their journey. 16th place. This is the bubble for the bubble that I'm talking about, to where you need to have a big game number 3 to put you in contention for consistency to even be a chance. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck going for that victory royale.
And that's what we're saying. Game 3 is such an important match. You don't want to end it quickly, and that's why a lot of these duos are trying to survive as long as they can, get to that end game. And and make the game count. Slick here actually has the Spider-Man web shooters now. Not sure if they also has them, because if they both do, then that's going to make it a lot easier to rotate in the late game. But taking a look here at World Cup and Kika, who are only 11 below Jacob. That's just one shot with the MK7, and then they don't have to worry anymore.
Yeah, forced to use 2 different big pots, a third onto World Cup, make it a 4th. All their resources going out the window. Only 1 big pot for the both of them. They desperately need this 11 tag, and they have to start hunting for it. 2 different 19s, and they're still below the threshold. Now they're going to be above it. Barely above it, and they're going to survive for now. Only needing 1 player to go down. As it might even look like they might fall below it here. Even if they survive right here, Takada, this is the first surge that we're seeing in the game. It's still going to be haunting them. It's still going to be in the back of their mind as something that they have to achieve. And with no resources, no type of shotgun striker auto or anything on World Cup, with only 13 medium ammo, he desperately needs a refresh.
This is looking a bit scary. Yeah. I'm getting stressed out just watching World Cup here as that Storm Surge threshold gets lower and lower, and now 16 above, only 12 above. It keeps going down, making me more and more nervous. 34 health, 50 shield, and no extra minis. 13 total shots, total ammunition for his MK7 assault rifle. Has to make those bullets count, Jacob.
This is very, very unfortunate. Last time we see this was in game number 1. Flux, I think, when he was sharing a portion of the high ground. He had 2 MK7s, no medium ammo to his name, and he was... I was saying as a joke, he probably should have thrown a mini at a forehead, but that just shows how little ammo he had and how little options here. 6 shots, 1 below the threshold, and that's all he needed. He lands the 20 tag, no ammo left to his name, but he has a full Spider-Man mythic, so something is definitely possible for the loot pile around the ground, but that's all he's really going to be looking for at this stage in the game as Kinzo goes down, and that wasn't part of a duo that shared first place.
Ooh, first place duo going down. And now, I mean, Worldka and Kika, they're going to do what they can here. They have to make a rotate happen, but it's not going to be too easy. Meanwhile, we're seeing the replay here of Slick and Day as Slick quickly secured that elimination, which actually gave him the Spider-Man web shooters I was talking about. We also have Fizzy here, who was a player that was below on Storm Surge, tried to get some damage, but was not successful.
And there's kind of the last one we saw. Very tail end of it. Double Stinger SMG into the box, and it's just very hard, especially when they know you're weak. It's so hard to survive with 2 players trying to Stinger SMG into your box, and especially if one of them can grab a hold of that build. But J Rose just need to always find themselves in a great spot in towards the zone. 3 eliminations are their name right now. Storm Surge is not going to be a worry. Show actually loses Poppy Blast for a moment, but avenges his elimination as he gets one of his own, and it's actually not going to be elimination. That Show is just down for now, as Poppy Blast is going to have to take him back, but it was Poppy Blast who actually did go down early in the game, so they're trading, taking turns being the hero of the duo.
Being the hero of the duo, seeing what they can do to come out on top. But we have Matt here. We've seen him quite a bit today, but he's playing as a solo now. He is above Storm Surge, but you need to get damage when you can get it, because if you get below Storm Surge and you have to do some quick plays to get that extra damage as a solo, it's very difficult. Putting himself in a high ground position here could be good, but he's not in the zone. Has to use the materials from the duos in front of him so he doesn't get focused off as a solo to make it into zone, but this is not going to be easy.
I like the way he's doing exactly what he said, recycling those builds. He knows he's above the damage threshold, so that's not even on his mind. It's just getting himself a spot comfortable as can be, as Worldka and Kika still on this edge of zone, but Worldka, at least this time, does have some ammo, different weapons he can go ahead and try to utilize here, as they still some damage to go ahead and be above the threshold. So refresh is still a major need for this team, and you can kind of see them resetting builds. They're looking for somebody to catch off guard.
Oh, Kika gonna go down, though. Now it's all up to Worldka. I mean, Storm Surge is active. You can see it on the screen. This is just not a position you want to be in. Worldka has about 3-4 seconds to get the damage he needs off. But, I mean, yeah, NT, nice try. Going on to the next one. They were able to make it a lot further than I expected them to with the loot they had. So, I mean, I'm impressed overall. But taking a look here at Frat by Nate, who have seen, I mean, they've been doing a great job job getting to the late games. It's just they need to secure that victory royale or keep getting to the late games and come out in that top 6 spot. But I mean, they're on route to do it.
Yeah, anything short of the victory royale, I feel like right now it's the late game, like you said, making it to it, and then picking up a couple eliminations for that late game. Because I think simply making it there is not going to be enough with how stacked and how hard this lobby is fighting for those qualification spots. Yale, Confi getting a spot in towards the zone. Not looking too comfortable though, because they're gonna have to share some of those shields to get themselves back up. Some splashes as well. 31st place, 7 points. They're going to need a big game here, mixed with some eliminations. You see some couple players going down in the elimination feed. Again, it's Evo, though. That's a player to watch out for because he's slowly but surely picking up eliminations to keep his team in contention.
But take a look here. Our second place duo, J-Roses and Tutu. But remember, the first place duo has already been eliminated. So if J-Roses and Tutu are able to make it far in this late game, they could take that #1 spot. Taking a look at the top-down view, we have a lot of duos stacked down on the southern side of this zone. And it's actually going to pull to a coast. So there's going to be a little bit of water in this first moving zone.
And realistically right now, if you kind of look at it, everybody's jumbled. Nobody really has convincingly and definitively that front side of zone. So everybody's going to have to figure it out. And the players towards the high ground, just looking at everybody across the battlefield, they're going to try to take some shots and then maneuver forward. Players towards the low ground, especially Gosh and Sharp, they probably are the closest towards the front side of zone. They're going to go ahead and take those peppers and try to stay ahead of the zone. So that way, it's not going to be a worry for a lot of these teams that are going to have to go through one another to get to the same spot.
Gosh and Sharp taking the low ground rotate. Meanwhile, all these other duos use their launch pads, use their Spider-Man web shooters, and that's actually a very strong rotate as a majority of the opposing duos looking for tags are looking up. They're not looking straight down, so great rotate there from Sharp. We have Tutu, though, as J-Roses has gone down, now playing as a solo, has 370 damage above the Storm Surge, but once more looking for that elimination. He knows the player is knocked down, might just decide to take the loot here and not keep chasing his duo opponent, but no, falls down. He can't find the loot anymore. Jacob has to go down now into the battle. Finally getting eliminated. That was very unfortunate.
Yeah, just a cheeky spot for his teammate to leave the down body. Unable to get the refresh. Actually drops into somebody else's lap. He goes for it, gets taken out. Matt, 3 eliminations, trying to go ahead and make way as a solo. Currently sitting into 4th place. Last use of the Spider-Man Mythic, trying to go as far as he possibly can. Doesn't get too much out of it, but he definitely has some resources to try to get ahead of zone, but he's going to drop towards the low ground, recycle some of this brick, and then continue to make his way. Evo and Buzzo always finding a way towards the late game to get a share of that high ground, but we're in zone number 7. Some may say that's the perfect time, but the trend of this semifinals, it's a little too early for some.
Nate and Frappi, we've been talking about how consistent they are making it to this late game, but they just have to make it happen one of these matches to get that golden ticket to the finals, though. Take a look at high ground. We have Kytrex here with his duo partner, Jartrex, with 3 eliminations, looking to make it 4, taking out Buzo, our previous high ground duo.
Yeah, perfect time to strike Jaritos and Kytrex. You talk about 7th zone. It's definitely too early in our semifinals to go for height. I think duos and teams have to start taking note of that because that has been 3 for 3 games. You take it too early and you get eliminated. Back to the lobby you go. Forced to rethink of a game plan as Gosh trying to think of something here as a solo, bobbing in and out of covers, peeking only when necessary to take the tags without a single build to his name. All he has is 6 minis and a dream to try to stay alive. Players running around, perfect edits. Fade didn't even know he was there as Gosh now tries to run, outlast his opponents, recycle some of these builds and mat up where he can because his journey is not over just yet.
71 points for Gosh, currently in the 5th place here. Has 6 mini shields to work with, but not a lot of materials. Meanwhile, Jaritos and Kytrex are on the high ground still. So far, not contested. Looking good for them here. Let's see what Gosh can do, though. 1 elimination right now, 1 for his teammate, and he's playing the low ground as a solo. Just picked up 400 wood and 200 brick. That could have just saved him a lot of placement points.
Every moment from here on out is big. Takata calling it, those resources were a massive boost towards his end game potential. As you see, everybody's just jumbled towards the backside of zone. Gosh doing a good job of staying up front of it and not have to go through that chaos as a solo. And since he's low down, all that 400 mats, he doesn't have to use too much of it here, and he's going to be able to save it to when these duos really come down to the wire. 8 teams remaining. You see the elimination feed still going off. Frappi is out. Jarritos and Kytrex still holding on to the high ground, but look at their builds. They don't have many to hold on to.
4 eliminations for Jarritos, 51 points, has the 5 Chug Splashes if it comes to that heal off, but so far it looks like they have this game in the bag if they play their cards right, but be careful. We just saw a player go for that high ground. Meanwhile, they got chopped down. I didn't want to speak too soon, but Creep now and his duo partner want that high ground, but they get chopped right back down to the low ground, get eliminated. Now Dom is the only one left for his duo, trying to secure a bit more placements with that med mist. Meanwhile, the last engagements happen above.
He doesn't have the resources to build up. He has to go around the mountain. He has just enough of the med mist, but no, not able to make it into the zone. That's going to be a denial from Jarritos to take out Dom. Shades, you saw him with the jump pad. He took the high ground away from a duo. A 2v1. Shades on the high ground, forcing the players down low. A bunch of players are going to go down. Jarritos going off. Kytrex versus Shades in a 1v1, and Jarritos is going to come out on top and take the game to advance to our grand finals.
Jarritos did not just take down 1 or 2, but 3 opponents in the late game. They're finally at the end securing the victory royale, from losing high ground in the last moments to making a comeback, clutching it up, winning their game, and getting that golden ticket straight to the finals. What a match from Kytrex and Jarritos.
Yep, from high ground to low ground, doing everything that they need. And you see at the very end here, just enough builds to deny some shots and take the game overall. Jarritos, 8 eliminations by himself, Takada. That is how you cement yourself into the finals.
I almost just got left speechless from what we just saw. I almost jinxed it. I mean, they had the high ground, but then right as I said they should have the game in their hand, it got chopped down, but they were still confident. They still pushed through and got that victory royale. What an amazing game, but I want to see our analysts break it down for us.
Thank you so much, Takada and Jacob. And to be honest, there was a moment there where I thought it was going to be over for Kytrex and Jarrito. To have someone steal height from you and also to do it as a solo has to be a bit of a morale hit, but that was nothing to them, especially with 8 eliminations coming out of Jarrito. Panda, they definitely deserve their spot in the finals.
They absolutely do, and here's why. This is a team that is special, right? They know what they need to do. Not necessarily, I would say they're the best in high pressure situations, but they know what needs to be done, right? However, in this situation, they lost the high ground. They remained calm, and they were able to clutch it out here from the low ground. So a really impressive game here for them. And if anything, they should feel special here, because that was a beautiful VR.
I do want to focus a little bit, though, on the player that tried to and actually successfully stole height. Shades there found out that he didn't really have too much of a heal-off opportunity, so drops down 1v2 Clay. Didn't go to the way of him, but what could have he done differently there to possibly have a bit of an advantage in a 1v2 situation?
Yeah, I think he just dropped down a little bit too quickly and prioritized the wrong targets there, right? We saw the player that got the eliminations in the feed, and he prioritized that one, unfortunately, instead of Kytrex there, who was 1 HP. Had they got them down, they would have had a little bit more of an opportunity. But obviously, in that moment, they don't see what we see. They don't know which individual is which. You just have to pick and choose, and at that point, it's a dice roll.
But a second place finish is still incredibly good. Those placement points on top of those eliminations are definitely going to solidify his spot in the top 10. But we're all about the victory royales here, so let's take a quick look at our 3 teams that have found themselves in the winner's seat. And of course, it's Haven, Notch after game number 1, Mojo and Salco in game number 2. And you guys just saw it, usually from high ground, but then having to drop down. Jartrex, as we call Jarrito, and Kytrex, game number 3 victory royale winners right there. But we still have 2 more games to go here. And it's not just the 2 VR winners that are going to be moving forward. It's also the top 6 teams that you're seeing right here. And what I'm seeing, Frappi and Nate jumping up into 5th place right now, Panda.
Definitely a huge game from them, but I also want to talk about Caleb and Kenzo. They didn't put a single point on in this game, and they were still up at the top of the leaderboard. So, look, they definitely did something right in the first couple games. So, all they have to do is be a little consistent here in the last two, and they're qualifying. But they need to be on it. They can't just give up now.
Indeed. And again, I want to say a big shout out to Kytrex, who one of the biggest veterans here in the NA West region, even went from playing on different inputs back and forth, really showing up. But look at how close the bottom of this leaderboard is, right? This is all the way down to 20th place. They still all have a shot into getting into that top 6 because of how much points eliminations are worth, as well as that second place.
And I just want to remind everyone what we saw in NA West during day number 1 as well. Favs and Snacky, you know, one of the more recent winners of the FNCS in Chapter 2, didn't have a great performance for the first 4 games. In fact, I think they almost went down around 20th and 30th in every single game. But that final game, the one that matters the most, they grabbed a VR. So although we only showed you 20 teams, literally any of the other bottom teams here, any of the other 47 teams, still have a chance to just grab that VR and move forward. And of course, for me, I'm looking towards Frappe and Nate, an incredible team here. They've already gone a 2nd place and 4th place finish from yesterday. And after today's performance, Panda, they did a pretty good job moving themselves in the top of the leaderboard.
They did. And while you were pretty confident thinking they were going to take this game, they are still being consistent, which is just as important. Because remember, we keep talking about it. You can qualify through victory royales and you can qualify through consistency. So as long as you remain consistent, remain calm, you got this thing. But for Nate and Frappe, the one thing I think they should really work on here is being a little bit more patient. You see here, every chance they get, they're going for shots in the back of zone. So they need to be a little bit more cautious, especially taking those risks there, because ultimately that's why one of them went down.
I love that you say that. Patience is the name of the game. We saw Harito and Kytrex could have tried to steal height once again, but then instead they said we're going to be patient on the low ground and wait for them to come to us, and that's exactly what got them that VR. But everyone, we just have 2 more games to go here. Game number 4, we're going to have another VR winner move forward to the finals. Jacob, Takata, how are you guys feeling?
Feeling fantastic, but that's me and Takata. We don't have to go through this battlefield, but a fantastic job for our analysts, not only to break down that last game, but really set the tone and the story for game 4 and game number 5. Depending on where you're at in the leaderboard, you have 2 different ways to qualify. If you're at the top half, you can continue to play consistency. There's Caleb and Kenzo that Panda said they didn't score a single point, still sitting in first. But for those teams that might be out of the bubble, maybe top 20 and below, they might have to go for a victory royale.
I mean,
luckily, we don't have to wait long.